three, 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 three. One, one, one. Two, two, three, 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 three.
Wow, we're back in. Can we keep the door open as everybody is coming back in? Um, cool. There's some feedback. Cool. Thank you very much to everybody making it back in. Look, I'm probably going to come across very pedantic, but I'm going to do this again. Everybody in the back 7 rows, please move to the front. We're live streaming. The event looks unattended because the empty rows, the front rows are all empty, and it's not unattended. So please can we just move to the front, everybody in those back rows, so that we can, in fact, if we can occupy the first 5 to 6 rows, that would be so great. Just helps with that. Welcome back. We're going to jump straight into our first round of pitches for the day. 3 startups, all in the pre-seed and Series A round, will be pitching. But just before we do that, another shout out to our sponsors and partners, Savant, Edge Growth, the Technology Innovation Agency, and AWS. Thank you so much to all our partners for making this possible. If it weren't for them, we possibly may not have been here. Just once again, I want to encourage everyone to download the Wired app. If you haven't yet had an opportunity to do so, please download the app. Yeah, people, as you're making your way in straight down, hey, those rows are unfortunately unseatable. So just make, you guys missed, if you sit there, you're catching COVID. So just make your way down. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much, everybody in here. Yeah, our startups are ready, and we're going to start with, how do you pronounce it? Mechanic? Mycanic. Okay, Mycanic up first. Oh wait, our jury. Forgot about them. They were pre-influenced. We're joined by Melvin Lubega Briga, who is the director of GO1, Natalie Colby, who's making a second appearance here today, is the managing partner at Norskin 22, and Tsembani Kupane, who's a senior program manager for seed funding at the Technology Innovation Agency.
Hello? Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Lesecha Dikhale, and I'm the founder of Mycanic. At Mycanic, we help customers fix their cars quickly and easily via our online platform with South Africa's best mobile mechanics through our innovative online web application. Well, as we know it, politicians, like mechanics, are some of the least trusted of professions. And customers are always looking for honest and reliable mechanics. Over and above that, mechanics are looking for ways to leverage technology in order to increase their sales. Okay, so to counter that, what we did, we've built a web platform that connects customers with trusted, reliable mobile mechanics in South Africa via online platform, and the mechanics come to you. We've created this platform that is convenient, that is affordable, as well as provides a peace of mind, because we only provide rated and vetted mechanics for the customers. And our customers agree with us as per thousands of reviews that we have received. How it works is that customers get on our platform, they select the area where they want the mechanic to come, they choose their car, and then our pricing algorithm provides an instant price for the customers for fixing their cars. They then choose their time and place where they want the mechanic to come, make a payment, and then they get connected with a mechanic who gets a notification on the platform using our matching algorithm. The market sizing. The South African market size is about $2 billion, and we're looking to obtain about $5 million of that market in the midterm. How we make money is that we levy 20% plus $7 of admin fee from our mechanics and every job that we provide. And because most of the jobs that we do require parts, we added 30% on all the parts we provide. Since the inception of our business, we've been able to generate about $1 million in revenue, and we've processed over 100,000 quotations to date at the value of about $8.5 million. And yes, and we're not only about growth, we're also about impact. So we've paid out to our mechanics over $200,000 in the past 2 years. Shucks. Okay, competition. So we're in the league of our own in South Africa as the only platform that's able to provide instant quoting for our. I see something wrong in this thing, but yeah. So yeah, we are the league of our own. We're the only platform in South Africa or in Africa as a whole that's able to provide instant quoting online via our platform. And the team is myself and Troy, and together we have over 30 years experience in the tech and digital marketing space, and that puts us in a great position to actually be able to deliver on our growth. And we're seeking a $500,000 investment to actually improve our platform, get into more regions in South Africa, as well as invest more in our marketing. Thank you.
Okay, I'll start. How are you acquiring your customers?
Most of our customers we acquiring online. So we have done a lot of search engine optimization. I think we have over 50,000 pages, so we appear #1 most of the time. We also spend quite a bit on digital marketing, as well as with a mix of traditional marketing. So we have some street pole ads, billboards, and stuff like that that assist us in acquiring our customers.
So what kind of funding are you looking for?
So we're looking for probably like a safe instrument funding, type of funding. So at $500,000 to really grow our business, like to reach more market. We're currently in Cape Town, Durban, and Gauteng, and we're looking to get into more regions because we have been collecting quite a lot of data for other regions, and seems like there is a demand in Polokwane and other areas.
Quick one on my side. I know you mentioned that you're the only guys that offer upfront pricing. And I was thinking, if my car breaks down, I don't know what's wrong with it. So how are you able to give me upfront pricing in terms of knowing what my cost is for that repair?
Okay, that's a great question. So there's two types of services. So in case of a breakdown, a diagnostics will need to happen. So we can give you an upfront pricing on the diagnostics. But when it comes to like maintenance, like brakes, service, already those are like defined already. So we can provide pricing for those at least. So in case like, for example, the diagnostics says a water pump needs to be replaced, we're able to provide you with a quotation for the water pump to be replaced instantly, immediately after the diagnostic has been completed.
If I can sneak in one more question, if you just go back to your slide around customer feedback, I think you went through it so quickly, I didn't get a chance to go deep. I think one person mentioned the best service in South Africa with 30 minutes timeline. Yeah, best service I received from a company in South Africa. That's a really strong statement. That's really great work you guys are doing. In terms of the pain point you're solving for an end customer, so for example, I'm assuming it's people outside of motor plans, first of all, that kind of thing. What do you think the pain point you're solving for? Is it more speed, convenience, pricing? Because I look at your reviews and there are different reasons except for like service, which could be the key point there.
Yeah, so thank you for that. So I think there's multiple pain points. So firstly, I must mention that people in aftermarket motor plans or service plans, we are able to assist after the Competition Commission ruled that the monopolies or oligopolies that have been created by the OEMs cannot continue because people need to be able to fix their cars wherever they want. So we're able to do that. And secondly, the pain points, like you find disabled people who are unable to drive their cars and leave it at a workshop. They contact us and we're able to assist them. You find doctors that need to be at their surgeries all day and they need a service, and we're able to do that right outside their surgery.
Thank you very much. stole a little bit of time there, but we're good. AgriLogic is up next.
Hello everyone, my name is Joel van der Skeef and I'm the co-founder and CEO of AgriLogic, and I'm here to tell you about our vision for the future of farming. Whoa, that's wrong. AgriLogic delivers a range of asset-light proprietary software and hardware to connect growers to their greenhouses. We do this through sensing, automation, and data insights for undercover farmers, helping them make proactive decisions as well as maximize their productivity. So more and more, as the world gets smaller, as we're all hyper-informed, there's more and more pressure on agricultural efficiencies. Arable land is decreasing, populations are increasing, and weather volatility is prevalent everywhere. We're currently in what's known as the triple El Nino, third year in a row of weather events. One way to solve this is to put up greenhouses. But greenhouses present a myriad of new variables for farmers, which they're not trained for and not educated on. And to solve this, you could automate. But all the automation systems in Africa are complex, imported from Europe, and expensive. Introducing AgriLogic, a simple, reliable, cost-effective automation system for controlling your climate in polytunnels. Our key product is VentLogic, a natural ventilation system that saves you energy, up to 86% energy, and reaches near greenhouse effects for your growth. It's specifically designed to meet the infrastructure and skill shortages within Africa. And our dream really is to make your greenhouse your teammate. Imagine being on the same WhatsApp group as your greenhouse, asking it a message, getting a reply, sending it instruction, or my favorite, just shooting the breeze at the end of the day. Some of our products adapt to traditional greenhouses, specifically to bring them more onto an energy efficient solution. However, we've developed things like our smart motors, which save new greenhouse builds up to 200,000 Rand per hectare. Ultimately, we're building a bank. Our products are sticky. They're going to be with our customers for 15, 20, 25 years. And that not only brings service revenue in SLAs, which we're going to remotely automate, but also starts laying the foundation for the data that's needed to change things to help them to do it better. We're already testing AI and weather prediction. Followed shortly after that, it's going to be in pest and disease control. But really, we're building this co-pilot to help you farm and make better informed decisions. The market, we know, is huge, $22 billion around the world. Locally, we're already seeing R1 billion high-tech undercover farming, with the latest aerial survey in the Western Cape showing tunnels growing at 12%. Competition-wise, as I said, majority of our competition is Europe or American-based. Our key differentiators really is that we're a full ecosystem to the farmer. We're a solution from dirt to data. Traction so far, we did our first successful MVP in January 2021, not so long ago. From that, we secured a letter of intent with a global tunnel supplier, really enabling us to launch and grow. And most recently, in February, we secured 3 times the growth that in 1 year. I'm very proud of that. And we're in process of our compliance and commercialization, moving off our MVP into our first commercial product, launching into global markets with systems already in Lesotho, Namibia, going into Botswana, and some in the UK. Our growth strategy is 4-pronged. We're working with greenhouse builders now, moving through to system integrators, onto resellers, and then direct to farmers. Currently, majority of our revenue is comprised of hardware with a small SaaS portion. However, we're moving into what I like to call PaaS, product as a service. The same way you buy a cell phone with your data, imagine getting the weather at one flat fee for your hardware and data insights. as you know, as I've spoken about, the energy impact, the water impact that we have, greenhouse also bring job creation, but ultimately lead to food security for that nation. I myself am a mechanical and electrical engineer. I have an MBA from UCT and extensive experience in the food industry with a successful exit under my belt already. I'm going to go straight to the ask. We're looking for $3 million in a price round. We believe it's a good investment because we have a differentiated product, a good team, and a scalable business. Thank you.
Okay, I'll go in the meantime then. If I'm a farmer, I've got the alternative of coming to you guys or getting one of your competitors from Europe. Why would I choose you guys over the Europeans who may have done this for much longer?
Good question. Thank you. So in terms of, in those terms, we're really partnering with people, right? A lot of our go-to-market strategy is a B2B structure where we're working with farming consultants who are already working at farmers. I think a lot of mistakes that startups in the space make is they try and be entomologists to farmers instead of entomologists to entomologists, right? We're trying to advance tech for farmers, but ultimately farmers are like me and you, they're business people. They've got a logistics business, they've got a HR business, they've got a farming operation, mechanizations, and a lot of our farmers tend not to be farmers. They actually look to consulting growers, organizations, who then give them farming advice. So those are the people that we're partnering with locally and internationally to go to the farmers and deliver what they need. Closing the loop and making sure we come back to it, we work with them to ensure that the automation is delivering what they need by monitoring things like optimal growth time, changes in weather patterns and so forth and so forth. A great interesting story is we worked with a fig farmer who traditionally you would grow open field as a tree. We vine those, and with automation, they're starting to see 4 to 5 times the fruit nodes, which immediately has put them on 8 to 10 times the production. And I don't have to be a farmer to know that. I've just got to work with the right people and listen to them and deliver their needs.
My question, in one of your slides, you said you save your clients 150K. Is that per month? And also, what are the contributing factors? Is that just energy? I'm asking for those that maybe have converted to renewable energy, and what would that saving be for them?
So that specific saving is around our smart motor technology on a setup of 1 hectare structure. Our smart motor saves them 200,000 Rand on capital outlay. So they would normally outlay about 800,000 Rand. With our system, it's 600,000. In terms of energy, our natural ventilation system saves about 86% costs in energy compared to a traditional greenhouse. So it's a massive, massive decrease in energy. But obviously, you're not going to get as efficient in your greenhouse application. You get close to it about 80% again. So you can get 80% of the gains with 80% reduction in cost. That answer the question? Thank you.
No, I'm covered. Thank you very much.
Cool. Thank you very much.
Is it snowed? Snowed there? Snowed. Cool. Snowed is up next.
Okay, so I didn't get a chance to, I just want to really just speak from the heart, right? This is why I'm here. Ferrari. No, honestly, I'm a Porsche guy myself. Last week, Ferrari got hacked. Porsche is not much better, by the way. A few weeks before that, Porsche South Africa got hacked, right? You don't have to go too far to find somebody who's got hacked, right? If I talk too loud, TransUnion will hear us. World Economic Forum rates cybercrime as one of the top 10 risks facing mankind. And I agree. We're number 6 globally, by the way. Not a good rank. And I think up to last year, we lost 2.2 billion rands. And here's a crazy statistic. While I do this presentation, people online will lose 1.2 million rands. So what's the problem here? So I know everybody's not technical, right? So I'm gonna sort of just let everybody understands an antivirus, right? Cool? Let's work with an antivirus. Antivirus has been the same for like 20, 30 years, right? But attackers have been advancing. So attackers are no longer like hackers in their bedrooms. It's organized crime. It's nation state attackers. So that antivirus you're installing on your computer is becoming more and more redundant, right? The other problem is evolution of technology. It's not evolution, it's a revolution, right? Drones, wearables, smart devices. You can't put an antivirus on your fridge, right? So how does that help? Then it's the diversity of the attacks we're facing. It's not about viruses, right? Predators online, people using social media to influence elections, the dark web, illicit trade of drugs, guns, and people, human trafficking, right? So this is why we created Snowed. Snowed is super simple to understand. We predict something bad is going to happen, we stop it from happening, and then we help you to understand how to make sure it never happens again, right? For the propeller heads, predictive analytics, active defense, prescriptive analytics, right? That is what we do. And we do it for across 6 continents, across 5 million devices, and that number's wrong. It's about 135 clients because this slide is from December. Some of the largest agri-tech plantations in the world run our platform, world's first blockchain exchange. Ports, not Transnet, in Africa, run our platform. SSA has given us, we're one of 2 companies in South Africa who the SSA has endorsed, right? That's our security agency. Last year we helped, not last year, I can't tell you all the year actually, we helped the Hawks find a kidnap and ransom victim using cyber, right? So why Snowed? Why would people buy Snowed? Firstly, we're independent, right? Being South African, we're privately owned, people care about that, right? The other thing is encryption. Imagine if I could stop a predator on Facebook without having to read your Facebook messages or your private messages, right? We have a patent that allows us to detect threats without having to know your secrets. Nobody else does that. The other thing is, doesn't that just sound like a better antivirus? Imagine if you could stop the rapist on Facebook through your antivirus, right? It would block it. And what it would do is it would automatically tell the police. Doesn't that sound like the antivirus you want? Doesn't it sound like the antivirus we need? So pretty much we're just a bunch of kids from Pretoria. Then we won a couple of awards for Pretoria in South Africa. We won a couple of awards for South Africa in Africa, and we represented Africa on a global stage, and we won a couple of awards there. How am I doing for time? I'm doing okay. Okay. In terms of what's the ask? You know what? We make enough money. We're not looking for money. The problem is, how's it going? We never started this thing to make money. We started it to make a difference. So ask me, how are we doing in making a difference? Let me ask you, is the lights going out? Is there predictive analytics in Eskom that's telling you when things are going to fail, making an order, and putting it in place so that you don't have load shedding? No. Is the water in the taps? No. Right? Predictive analytics could help you understand capacity management. Simulations that we produce with our technology can help you understand how you can better manage a situation so that there is water in the taps. Number 1, crime capital of the world, right? That's what they call us, right? So clearly we're not helping on that. Why? We're not making a difference. And that's my ask. My ask is I need access. I need access. I'm going to finish this. I need access so that I can make a difference. I need to get this technology to Eskom. I need to get it to Rand Water. I need to get it to SAPS. And TIA can do that. And the reason I'm here is to make that difference, because we build tech by Africa, for Africa. Sorry, I apologize.
No worries. I quite like that your logo looks a bit like Eskom. It's a bit triggering, but I was able to align there. So, in terms of...
It's actually Eskom turned around, right?
I don't see much of Eskom with the lights off. But effectively, to understand your business model, I mean, just because the value you want to create, let's say for a tier, so tiers in the audience, so maybe that's a good pitch to them.
Yeah.
But just to understand your business, how do you make money? What's your model, like, in terms of...
Okay, no, fair enough, right? So we do the normal cybersecurity stuff. We protect banks, we protect, big, large corporates, etc. They buy up technology, it predicts attacks, but not just cyber attacks, fraud, like if you're in a bank. In mines, it can predict a whole lot of things. We had a presentation on agriculture. We predict disease for the largest agri-tech plantation in the world, in the Philippines. It allows them then to talk to drones, which then spray insecticide in only those areas which need to. And from losing 20% of their crop production, they've gone down to 5%. Now, those people pay us, right, because it's private entities. That helps sponsor the research that I need to do so that we can go and help the hawks, which we did for free. As a matter of fact, I'll make a statement. You give me access to ESCOM, you give me access to SAPS, or even City of Tshwane, which doesn't have budget, planning to buy security for 80 million, I'll give them my tech for free.
You mentioned you had 135 clients.
Yeah,
So
135 clients, corporate clients, yeah.
So I wanted to say, to understand in which industry are they in, and what was their feedback?
It's a good question. So cybersecurity affects all verticals. Main verticals is industrial, right? Because mining, that kind of prediction is really useful. And also here, we build tech for Africa, right? So mining is one of our big industries. So industrial, defense is where we really want to be. And up to today, we help a lot of places, but we really need to get the technology more into defense. And then financial, right? That's where the money comes from. We stop fraud. People pay a fraction of the price to lose a lot less money. So it makes commercial sense at the end of the day. So those are our three big sectors. Did I answer your question?
What was their feedback, the ones that you have been servicing so far?
Oh no, they love it, right? One of our clients actually said we are Africa's best kept secret. We haven't lost a client, right? And we've been running for 5 years. And some of the biggest companies in South Africa who can afford to go to like an Israeli or American firm or UK firm or run our technology.
Cool. Thank you very much. Thank you. Can I have the clicker? Why didn't you predict Thabo Bester? I mean, you could have saved us so much trouble, right? Just a reminder, the VC Conference taking place in Cairo next month in April, which starts on Monday, Sunday. You can register for that event on the AfricArena website, so I do encourage everybody to do that. I'll put up a link for that a little bit later. And that brings us to the end of these round of pitches. Thank you so much to everybody. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much to our jury. Yeah, can we give them a big round of applause? We're going to go into a very important panel discussion. One, like I said this morning, right? A great deal of you were here to pick up advice and tips that you can almost immediately implement in your day-to-day, and this is exactly what the next panel will be about. But before I do that, there were new people that entered the room, so the back 4 rows, can you guys just move to the front, please? We are live streaming. It looks like no one's at the event, and that's not true on the live screen. That's because the cameras do not pick up the back 5 rows or so. They pick up the front, which looks bleakishly empty. So I just ask that everybody just, if you can and are generous enough, to just move forward. While we welcome our panelists on stage, I'll introduce them. Angel Jones, who's the CEO of Homecoming X. Melvin Lubega, who is the director of GO1. Mike Powell is a partner at 118 Accounting. Trevor Naidu, who's the founding director of ProcureSense. And Paul Smith, the CEO of Civitas, who will be the moderator for the panel. As we welcome them on stage, can we give them a big round of applause? They'll be talking to us about how to growth hack a B2B startup in Africa. I see a couple of eyes just glimmering up because that's exactly what they're here for. You exist in the B2B value chain ecosystem and you're hoping to be able to growth hack your business. These people are here to tell you exactly how to do that.
It's working, yeah. Okay, cool, man. Awesome. So excited to have you all here. I think what we will do to just maybe kick off the session is a little bit of an experience share about what's worked for you guys in getting B2B sales going, maybe in the early stages. So why don't we start with you, Angel?
So certainly, I think, you know, this is my third time as a founder. In the very beginning in advertising, relationships. Again, when it was Homecoming more as just an executive search firm without the platform, it was relationships. And finally, in terms of our new platform now, which offers permanent, part-time and executive hourly talent, it has been the use of other brains at the time that we need them, when we need them, and for how long.
Melvin, I know you built a hugely successful business. I'd be very interested in your guys' journey and how you've gone about building the sales team.
Awesome. Okay, if you can hear me, awesome. Oh no, thank you very much. And I think, unfortunately, I think when we began our business, we were very young, and so what we did was essentially built an HR tech platform and built and scaled that across 35 countries, but we never had relationships going in. And so our key hack was really asking our customers and getting them to almost build the product with us was so important that early on, because I think none of us had worked in businesses before, unfortunately, we were too young, but just trying to deeply understand that product need that we're solving and not being afraid to be wrong. I think we pivoted a few times in our early product, and so it's just that proximity to customer that was so important for us early on in our journey.
And getting those first initial meetings into the whole corporate world, considering you're young guys, you didn't have a big network. So yeah, I'd be interested how you got those first 10, 20, 50 actual relationships with corporates.
Yeah, and so I guess for context, what we do is we built out, I guess, the Spotify for corporate training. Think of us that way. And so front of mind for us was saying we thought there was a big opportunity in the space, but it was almost having the art of the possible mindset. And so something I really like to do is to ask my customers is, if I gave you a magic wand, what would you want to be different in your processes, in your organization? Using that as a point of not being limited by, if I were to come in with a new ERP, what would that look like, and so forth. And so being very intentional about blue skying it, but quickly getting to the point where by giving the feedback, we're able to use that to build our product and make sure that we have a way in which we're able to have them as a part of the process. And so it was lots of cold calling, to be honest, early on. I mean, I probably emailed most CEOs in corporate South Africa. Thanks for responding to me, guys. And I think it was really about us being smart. But what I realized was that many organizations, people don't actually reach out to the people that actually do the work. Everyone wants to reach out to the CFO, the CEO, the COO. No one's going to the L&D manager and saying, L&D manager, love to get your thoughts on this. I think it's also appreciating that the value in understanding what the BT business should be built is often not in the C-suite, it's often in the manager level.
Okay, cool. So starting at the bottom end and then working up to the manager level.
And now we're here.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. Trevor, over to you. What sort of worked with in your side in the early days? Eh?
Yeah, I think it was slightly it was different. We actually needed to earn the trust of the executives in what we were doing. Just for very quick context, our business helps localize corporate supply chain spend. So and we offer. And so that seems like on the face of it like a social imperative, and everyone says yes, it's good, but we had to learn very quickly that if we don't link value, and value is money, and saving corporates tons of money, we wouldn't be able to speak their language. So ultimately, whether it's procurement or any type of business that you're in, the language of business is numbers, and we needed to help them understand that if you do the right thing, you can also have a massive financial benefit. And how we got them to get that over the line was effectively doing work for free initially. So we show them that some of our tech can actually unlock savings and localize some of their key commodities within their spend. But we needed to prove the model at an executive level to earn their trust, to allow them to allow us to go into the rest of the supply chain. So we almost had to do the other thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mike, over to you. What's your experience been in the early days?
So, Paul, look, I mean, I can talk to this problem from my personal experience with building my own professional services firm, and it is a little bit against the grain. But the reality is that I've used cold calling too. It's basically a philosophy from a book that I read, Predictable Revenue from Aaron Ross. And so Melvin mentioned cold calling too, and it's really about using technology to identify your ideal client profile, and then it's sales is a numbers game, and it's about getting in front of your clients, pitching to clients, and that's really what has been successful for us so far.
So one of the big problems we see with a lot of the companies that we work with is that you've got the founder, he learns to sell, he lands his first 10, 20 customers, the business is getting big, and now he's got what we call the founder sales problem, where he can sell, but he needs to now get out of sales. So I'd be very interested in your guys' journey about actually what you handed over in the early days. What was that first hire that you looked like? What were the first things and then what was the journey to what your team now looks like now? Are you still involved in the sales process? What have you outsourced? And then how have you actually built up a sales team? So, Angela, I don't know if we start with you.
So thank you, Paul. I think, interestingly, I go exactly against the grain of that. I think, in the early days, so importantly, I think sales, as I said, relationships, but it's all about storytelling. You need a really strong, compelling story that can stick in the mind and stay there and really turn that around. And I think in the old days when I was in advertising, I used to wear big wings everywhere. People would say, "Who are you?" I'd say, "I'm Angel, we're in communication." Or now we do this. Look, everywhere I hope you see relationships are gold, because I don't know if you're going to be my candidate or my client or my colleague or my connection. I think the mistake I made, even in our most recent business, was as soon as we got VC investment, I thought, okay, now I'm going to find somebody to sell for me. And we had the traction, we were going, but the mistake was, okay, then I can get out of the way and somebody else will do that, because I'm so busy. I've got to do the HR piece, I've got to do the ops, I've got to do all these other things to keep it all going. Very, very hard lesson. Nobody can tell a story the way that you can. And also, the solution that we now are bringing to other founders, these frazzled founders who now think that they're so big they've got to step out of the way of leading sales, is let's give them a fractional, what we call a part-time head of people, for example, to look at your performance, see where the metrics are going, how that's looking. Or a head of capital raising, for example, so that the founder can concentrate on that revenue, those sales, where is it coming from, and you can have a remote person in your business from wherever you want them every Monday afternoon looking after those key things that usually get in the way of where you think, I'm so big now, I don't need to head up the sales piece. And obviously that's our big hard lesson, but I'm sure everybody has got a different story.
I guess from our experience, so goone.com, check us out. I'm always selling, so still at it now. So I guess where we are today in our journey, so goone has about 800 employees and about 350 of them are in our revenue org. And the reality is that as a founder, you should always be doing things in the organization that have the most value given your time. And so I'm a believer in my early businesses that I would never hire for a role I haven't tried myself, because sales guys can sell. And so when you raise money, you're like, yes, I'm going to hire a sales guy, and once he's burned 3/4 without selling anything, you're out of pocket. And so a big thing for me is still sell, but sell strategically. So for example, you got founders on this panel right now speaking, and so you might go check out our platforms. Selling isn't necessarily going to the customer and demoing your platform. And so don't ever feel like you are too big to sell your platform, because whether you're selling to customers, employees, or investors, you have to have that particular rapport. I think when you think about sales and taking a step back around process, I really love Aaron Ross, Predictable Revenue, highly recommended for B2B sales. But it comes down to understanding your funnel and being very intentional about understanding your funnel and knowing where you add the most value. Because some founders are very good at coming in last meeting and closing with the exco in front. Some are very good at opening that door. And so it's almost a function of where you look to bring in team members in your funnel comes down to your competency first, and then supplement it accordingly.
Awesome, thanks, Melvin. Trev?
Yeah, just to add to what the other panelists have said, I'm actually transitioning right now. So I'm moving away from sales, but you never actually ever move away from sales. So what I've had to do is to understand, okay, where is my time best spent? And it's on big ticket items. And then how do I optimize and systemize the rest of it? And to do that, you would need to understand, we've thought long and hard about the avatars and the different pain points for the different avatars within our customer base, and systemize, okay, so this is the pain point that you're trying to identify. Based on this pain point, this is what the features and the benefits of our product or offering are. And what that's doing is it's allowing me to standardize that with the rest of the team, which allows me to focus on new product development and new concepts that we want to bring into the market and big sale ticket items. So my view is I don't think I'll ever truly move away from sales. It's just where in the process of sales will I be involved, or what new product am I trying to build, and how do I figure out how to sell that product?
So Paul, what I can sort of build on to what all of the panelists have said, and specifically Trevor, is for me, being an accountant, sales is more of a science, I believe. And Trevor mentioned it. For me, the founder, getting the founder out of sales is about building those systems and processes and being really scientific in how the founder actually coaches and mentors the sales team in delegating everything. So it can't happen immediately, but if you're very, very systematic in building the sales systems and handing that over, that in one of my CFO clients over the last 5 years, I've seen 3 generations of sales teams come in. The first sort of generation failed, and eventually the 3rd generation has succeeded. And it's mostly about being systematic and also having the right, getting the right people on the bus as well.
Yeah, absolutely agree. We've seen that too with WizPass, who was one of our members. They were very successful. I think they managed to get a couple of the 100 listed companies in South Africa. And they were really good at building out a really strong playbook beforehand to do the handover, and then a really strong deck that could actually carry the salespeople in the early days, which I think was kind of building on what you're saying. Another huge challenge we see from a lot of the founders in the network is the first sales hire or hires, getting that right. So yeah, it sounds like, Melvin, you've built a very big sales team, and it sounds like you've done a lot of sales hiring. What would your advice be on getting that first sales hire right?
So the first sales hire for me was a bit different. I'm very big on hiring within the organization, and so often my best sales guys came in as cold callers and then became like account executives and then become account managers and so forth. But I think it's often more the aptitude and willingness to learn. I think if someone has salesperson on their profile, they probably aren't a good first hire for a startup. Because if you're working at a big B2B SaaS company where they get leads delivered to them and they just go and say, hi, I'm from Salesforce, and they close the deal, it's not the right person. So you always want someone who can, 1, has the ability to be personable. I think it's about relationships. But 2, understands your product. And 3, is incentivized by what one gets as a salesperson, which is money. Because the one thing which we're not saying is in sales it's about commissions. And if someone isn't performance driven, wants to earn money, there's certain things that won't work out, and I think that's important to consider. But I think if I look at the topic here, just as a side note, is growth hacking B2B SaaS in Africa. And I think the in Africa piece is important, I think. So we have teams across 14 countries now. And within Africa, especially when you're setting to, I think, B2B, where B2B is a bit more mid-market and beyond, maybe SMB is a bit, S is a bit smaller, but just getting trust and being able to be well-liked is so important. Because what trust enables you to do as a B2B company is then get on a company's procurement list or vendor list, which is often the hardest task. If a customer told me, I will pay you 1,000 Rand and I'll do a small deal with you, but we'll onboard you as a supplier, that is often the gate that no one talks about when doing business in Africa. Because once you're on that list, you will see things flow. And I think someone that has the ability to build the relationship with someone at that level to get on that list is more important for me up front.
Awesome. So I think to build on that procurement, Trevor, you know a little bit about that. Yeah. Getting on procurement lists, what would you have to add to that?
Speak to me. Yeah, so I think there's definitely a lot of truth in what he's saying around getting onto the database is one of the biggest and hardest steps initially. That's one of the problems that we try and solve for SMMEs in the market. For us, our biggest problem from a sales perspective is how do we hack trust, right? So how do we because it takes time to build trust, etc., and all of that. And so when we're looking at a salesperson, so we recently just onboarded someone right now, the key differentiator for me was, okay, how big is this guy's network and how much of trust is he built in the market? And so can he get me a meeting to say, I'm working for this company XYZ, ProcureSense, and he's speaking to our avatar, it's the CFO, CEO. So that's sort of one of the things that we've done to hack into the market, because we're trying to solve the problem. Who is the right person, the avatar that we need to speak to? And if you speak to that person, we can test the pain point. If they're not interested in it, we move on to the next. And for that, for our business, we need to have salespeople that are very highly networked and have built the trust where they can just introduce our product to the right person, and that decision maker will tell us whether they're interested or not.
I'd just love to build on that, because this is a perfect example of wanting sort of inside intel around procurement. So what we do for a lot of founders, actually, they might be pitching to a big bank or a big FMCG company. What we can go and find for them is what we call an hourly executive, somebody who might have been the ex-head of procurement for Tiger Brands or the ex-head of investment banking for Barclays, and being able to have an hour or two of their time, buy their time on an hourly basis and get all the inside intel on what to do and what not to do, really we found is a great hack for many founders to be able to go, okay, let me not make these assumptions, or these are the points that I need to dial up. So really, using the network as much as possible, borrowing people's brains when you can to find out what those real insights are when you make your pitch.
So I think to build on that, one of the, obviously the hard challenges around selling to an organization is you're not selling to a single person. So I think, what are some of the hacks that you guys have used to basically understand, one, find champions inside, and then use that champion to understand the organizational influence, and then obviously getting a team of people across the line to make the buying decision. So I don't know if anyone's got anything to contribute around that.
I mean, it goes back, I come from a branding background in my very, very early days, and I think, building relationships, thank goodness for LinkedIn. LinkedIn is an amazing place. I mean, you can attend a webinar from wherever you are, friends with them, I heard you, I'd like to hear you. Nothing beats the face-to-face. But the idea of being able to comment on people, know who's who in the zoo, take pictures of each other, tag each other, find an article that's kind of interesting, and you repurpose it, and you tag the people you want to start talking to. Very quickly, you can start building quite quickly your brand in terms of being able to comment here and there, and people love hearing about themselves, right? As soon as I'm mentioned or I'm tagged by Angel, she might, want to talk to me about something more. I think use the power of making other people feel special and recognized.
Super cool.
Angel tagged me in a post before I met her, and I was like, I don't know I don't know who this person is. This is spam. And so right now, fairly active, I guess, as a VC investor. And I think it's the same thing even with startups. When you're trying to do, how do you do your work to understand what someone cares about, what's important for them? And I think it's either through their posts, it's either through what they share about even personally, you find someone's name, and being able to understand them as a person, because people buy from people. And people discount that. It's not like because my product's awesome. It's because I like the person, I like what they stand for, and so forth. And so often, to your point around trust, it's about how do you then understand insight from people who already have trust. So it could be the person below the person you're trying to target and saying, hey, let's have a coffee because the junior will give you the time. Or it's the analyst in the fund. And even sometimes it's the service providers who have the trust. And if I'm selling an ERP system, I'm going to go to someone who knows accounting and be like, okay, fine, so what do you think I should be angling here? And so it's about just being able to not almost like collaborate in that journey, because you may have a very strong idea of what you think the problem is, but often the person on the call face knows it better than you do.
And I mean, Paul, just Angel mentioned it, but LinkedIn Sales Navigator is for $1,500 a month. It's one of the best tools out there to actually understand. I mean, your original question was, how do you navigate the politics of an organization? Sales Navigator is amazing in terms of just understanding who's who in an organization. So I would, from a sales perspective, definitely one of the top tools out there, I reckon.
Awesome. Anything to add, Trevor? No. Okay. Okay, cool, super. So the next one I would say is the next biggest problem we see the most with the enterprise sales guys is slow sales cycles. Anything you guys have done that has worked on shortening the sales cycle, on getting those deals across the line with the bigger B2B clients?
Very quickly, I mean, we do a lot of recruitment, obviously, of salespeople. What we say to the people employing them, obviously, in the beginning, don't make it about comm, give them a good base, but know that comm's coming, but manage expectations, know that they might be a quick one or two, but everybody's have expectations managed, because I think trying to chase a sale makes people get put off. So just quick input from us.
I mean, from my perspective, what I've seen work so many times over, and I think one of the panelists mentioned it, is don't make price the barrier up front. So go in offer your services for free initially, prove the value, and then once you're in and you've actually proven the value, then it's so much easier to, once you've proven the value, to then actually go in with your proposal. So that would be my.
Just so quickly to add, like what we've done is we recognize, so you have to build trust. So how do we short circuit that? And then the second thing is to validate the pain point. And what we've found is working for us is to have businesses or distribution channels that are very niched in what they do, and our product like 10 times is their business value to their existing clients. They've already gone down the hard yards, built the trust, etc. They understand the pain point that we solve because it's the next layer of their journey, and they become our channel partners, and they've already validated who we should speak to. They've built a relationship, and they know the pain point is matched to us. So that's what we're doing now, and it's working.
Paul, just as a quick counterbalance, I mean, I would argue that enterprise sales don't need to take long if you're selling the right solution. I think many businesses want to be vitamins as opposed to painkillers. When you're in pain as an organization and something's important to you, someone mentioned, Snood on a cyber attack, you will spend the money and make it expedited. And so I'd argue for startups, find out for whom your product is a painkiller as opposed to a vitamin, because you can go to any government in South Africa and go see what their annual performance plan is and see what they've committed to Parliament and offer them a solution for that. In any corporate, read the annual report. The CEO, the CFO will tell you what's important for them for that coming year. And by doing that, you become front of mind.
Amazing. Awesome, guys. So I think we'll wrap it up there if we can give the panel a bit of a hand.
I mean, it's time for questions.
Oh, time for questions. Okay, cool.
Yeah. You guys know the rule. We start at the back, we move forward. If the mic is past your row, that means your opportunity to ask a question is gone. I see a hand. Any other hands in the back? Let's move down. Any other? Just raise your hand if you have a question, a comment, anything at all. Okay, go for it. Please do stand up, tell us your name, and go for it. Yeah.
For those online.
Okay. Yeah, there we go.
Hi, my name is Lebu Mashaba from Real PPE Marketplace. We focus on selling or connecting buyers and sellers of personal protective equipment. Now, the target audience is B2B, and because we're a marketplace, we don't want to play in a place where we need to be like an official vendor, because with some of the companies, because they would put us on a 15 or a 30-day payment, and we are more of a cash business. So I'm wondering if your thoughts on that. Do you think strategically, because right now we are finding that inquiries are coming both from the end users, which will be the business, and it will also come from resellers. Who we are also servicing. So the resellers, they buy on cash, but I find that the corporates want to put us on a 30 days, 15 days, and we cannot afford it. Thank you.
Any other questions coming down this way?
One more, can we take that and then we have a conclusive response to all three, just for the sake of time.
Hi there. Yeah, just a quick one. How do you guys deal with difficult clients and customers? Like, when do you actually call it quits? Because sometimes you want the sale and then it's like it keeps going, and like, when eventually do you call it quits? And how do you deal with customer concentration risk? I'm not sure how your guys' industries work, but I know some guys have got big clients who make up 20% of their revenue. How do you deal with those two issues?
Cool. Last question down here. You had your hand up? Yeah. Can we get the mic down here?
Hi, Cameron here. My question is, when you're expanding and growing your businesses into new territories, new markets, new product offerings, what's your approach to building a leadership team that you can trust, either to handle the operations that you've already built or to tackle the new markets and territories you're entering?
Cool. That's it. No other questions? Joseph, you're thinking very hard. Are you raising a hand? Oh, this was. Can we give Joseph a round of applause and thank you for the topic suggestion? Those are the three questions. Take it away.
So very quickly, I think in terms of our key negotiation levers, we always say if you want less of a percentage, you need to pay on 14 days when the candidate signs the contract. And the payment terms are always right up front in terms of the negotiation, in terms of pricing. And when it comes to when do we actually fire a client, so HR directors are the ones who pay us to find top talent. And we, at the beginning of the year, said we, from now on, will not move without an upfront engagement fee, because there's too many times we try and do stuff on risk and then the role goes away. We have had clients who don't then want to work with us because they won't pay an engagement fee, and that is a massive relief, because then we're not wasting our time with the wrong people. In the beginning it was risky, in the end it really has paid off, because we're really working with people who've now come back to us realizing that it's worth it from the beginning. And just in terms of growing a team, where we've helped other companies grow, is we find ex-heads of those places where they can step in as a fractional head of growth or head of strat or HR director to help give the key learnings to put the right team in place.
Just to build on that, I think if you're talking about on the financing piece, I think it sounds like a great opportunity to have embedded finance. If you ultimately you are giving value by your financing terms or want to offer them, I'd price for it. And so you can actually offer different pricing for someone that wants financing, and 14 days you can invoice factor, you can get quite creative in that regard. I think to your question around I think 1, customer concentration, I think 2, firing customers. So in my business, we probably have now just under 7,000 customers globally. And the customers I've fired have been for 2 reasons. 1, misalignment of values, and 2, not the right product for them. I think sales guys, unfortunately, sell very hard. And they sometimes sell things that don't exist in the business. And so you have to fire the customer because they're like, I'm sorry, man, we don't do that yet. But more importantly for me, values is where someone mistreats my team. I'm very big on people. And if I see a client mistreating my team, I don't care how big you are, you're not for me. And so I'm being very intentional about that. I think on the customer concentration, it's more comes down to diversification. And I think it's one of those concerns where it's important for entrepreneurs, if they want to raise capital, again, you mustn't raise capital. VCs will care about your customer concentration a lot, and so think about that even geographically, sector-wise, and so forth. And I think to your final point, I mean, there's probably a whole textbook on that kind of stuff that I could probably share. But the big thing for me that really unlocked it for us was those people that were opening up new markets for us actually must have had to have spent time with our core markets first. So I had a big program where if someone was opening up, let's say the US for me, they had to come and spend time in South Africa for 6 months and then go abroad, just so they understand what we do and our values and our principles as a business.
Cool. So to add to what the panelists said, I think for the first question, just look at their preferential procurement policy. And if you're a black-owned business, you can get paid within the first 7 days. So it's an easy lever to pull in terms of negotiation, because it's in their policies, it's in their contracts, and many times you can actually get paid same day, right? And that's a lever you can pull to use. You're actually just using their own policies to show them that there's a benefit around that, around the corporate specifically. Reverse factoring, there are many solutions where existing players will come in and partner with you so that you can offer the financing solution and you just take a cut off the deal as well. So you can solve that problem around cash flow around that. Concentration risk. Dude, I have the same problem and I got burnt so badly. I mean, COVID, you're talking about 20%, we were sitting on 70% and COVID happened. And so the lesson was learnt in a very, very difficult way. We had to literally just go into survival mode for 2 years, and we're basically coming out of it. And so the big lesson there was, like, I really needed to learn how to concentrate on sales, and to really go and systemize, this is the pain point for this sector, this sector, this sector, and also pick specific sectors that we wanted to play in. And we had to go and do all of that work and do the hard yards in understanding, like Melvin said, the sales cycle for B2B businesses is long. And so it means that, like, you have to actually do all of the work now to reap the benefits going forward. There are hacks that we've mentioned that you can do, but most of the time it's long. Your question around extending beyond South Africa, that is something that a lesson I'm trying to learn right now. So when you find out the answer, you can definitely tell me. But to sort of offset that, what I've done is I've joined member groups like Civitas, where there's entrepreneurs that are ahead of me, and I just learn from some of the mistakes they made or some of the things, and then I can leverage off their knowledge for it. So,
on that final point, my understanding is that what was core to SAB's international growth expansion was taking South African leaders and putting them into their foreign markets. So I think it was Melvin that mentioned that. And then around dealing with difficult clients, I think ultimately that is the founder or the CEO's final decision, and I think it comes down to intuition, values, and you generally know when it's time to say goodbye to a client. Life's too short for an unhappy customer. That's what I learned from one of the very, very successful founders that I had the privilege of working with.
Awesome. I think a good note to wrap it up. We can give the panel a round of
I
applause.
just want to augment one of the questions. Would you recommend anyone on the panel for this? Would you recommend expensive financing tools such as vendor financing and purchase order financing to compensate for those long payment terms that certain specifically startups are facing?
So one quick one. One, make sure you're delivering value that to the point where if you stop doing the service, they will pay you. But I think 100%. I think don't be afraid to use the tools that are in front of you to work that cash flow work, because there are many big businesses that have great revenues but are dying because of cash flow, and don't die alone. Everyone's doing it.
I hope that was helpful to the personal protection equipment lady. There we go. Thank you so much, everybody.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Just ask just for a picture. Oh, while this panel is exiting, can we give them one big round of applause? I would like to introduce, guys, can we have the mics back? No, it's not a gift. Welcome. The next panel, chaired by Vladimir Dugan, who is a partner at E3. Joining him on that panel is Lilemba Piri, who is an operating partner at Enigma Ventures, Zinhle Mncube, who's the investments associate for 22 on Sloan, as well as Brett Matheson, who's the co-founder and director of Metavolve, and Kevin Distiller, who's the managing director for Odyssey Talent Management. Welcome them on stage, everybody.
Hi everyone. My name is Vladimir. I'm a partner at E3 Capital Partners. It's a climate VC fund with focus on Africa. Today we are going to talk about the differences between equity financing and bootstrapping, what's best. And we have a very interesting crowd here. We have VC, we have incubators, we have actually founders. So I will let the panel introduce themselves.
Afternoon, everybody. I'm Lilemba Piri. I'm the operating partner at Enigma Ventures. We are a gender lens fund that focuses on investing in women entrepreneurs in Southern and Eastern Africa. We invest at seed stage and primarily equity. Yeah.
Afternoon, everyone. My name is Zinhle Mncube. I'm the investment associate at 22 on Sloan. At 22 on Sloan, we are pretty much an ecosystem enabler with four pillars that we do, which is providing market access, funding access, putting together, designing and implementing value-add programs for the benefit of entrepreneurs, and lastly, doing all of that while putting in place good governance as well.
Hi everyone, I'm Brett Matheson, and at Metavolve we are people and strategy partners to entrepreneurs who are looking to take their business to the next level.
Hi everyone, Kevin Distiller, the MD of Odyssey Talent Management. We're an assess tech company, and we focus on trying to democratize the assessment landscape, which is there's a whole ethical and sort of societal impact that we're trying to get to, but for another day. Lovely being here.
Thank you, guys. I think we can start this panel with first question to everyone. Given that you guys are entrepreneurs yourself and you work with many founders, in your view, what is the main difference or correlation in a mindset between those founders who bootstrap versus those who go at fundraising very early and want to grow at any cost?
I'll say two. The ones that bootstrap are quite focused on their unit economics quite early in the process. They want to ensure that the business can become self-sustaining as quickly as possible. And they're ensuring that the fundamentals are right, both in the cost structure, but also in the revenue model. Whereas the ones that are not thinking about bootstrapping through the gate and are thinking about just fundraise, whilst they might have a big plan and a big vision, are not entirely sure how the unit economics will pan out, and they're not entirely sure how the revenue model will pan out. Yeah.
If there's anything that I can add to what Ilemba said is, yeah, I agree. It's a question of metrics that each one is looking at. So to what Ilemba said, the bootstrappers are looking at their revenue and their profitability because nothing else is coming in. So if you can get that revenue to go up alongside your profitability, then you can be as self-sustaining quickly as possible. Whereas with the VC-backed ones, and maybe just to make a difference between the guys that are, how can I say, obsessed with fundraising for the sake of fundraising, the VC-backed ones at least are looking at different metrics that at times aren't necessarily theirs. They speak to what the VC is looking for from depending on which stage they're raising, it's a question of the product market fit and things that they're still striving to do, and they have a bit of runway to figure that out. But it's very important to say that both of them are going after the same thing. At the end of the day, both want to have self-sustaining, highly successful businesses. So their mindset is different. It's just a question of which metrics are they looking for at that point in time. But the earlier they are, the more similar they are.
So I think there's a full spectrum that you see from a bootstrapping perspective right way through to your serial investment and serial raises that are going through. And the guys that are chasing, and please excuse the gender bias there, but the people that are chasing the growth at all cost type mentality are closer to your celebrity CEO type status people. And it's very image oriented. It's who do you know, how are you showing up, where are you showing up, what parties are you showing up. And there's a lot of that goes on, and what ends up happening is there's a lot of media, there's a lot of PR, a lot of things around that. Whereas with your bootstrapped people, it's a very different mindset. In fact, the most successful bootstrap people that I know are the people you've never heard of. And they don't want to be known. But they are multi-billionaires in many different fields, but you've never heard of them. So there is a big mindset shift from that. But I think from a startup perspective, the big realization that people need to make is it's a 15 to 20 year commitment to get to a serious payout.
Okay, I'll try to add something to what's been said. I think for me, bootstrapping is a little bit more stuck in the present because you have to kind of get things working. You're in the engine room making things happen. It's a bit harder to get above it, even though you may have a vision of where you want to get to, you sometimes can't get there. I think there's a danger that when you funded, it's kind of a similar concept. You know, Rusty Erasmus always said, let the main thing be the main thing. You got to win before you can change lives. It's the same thing. I think you can get caught up in the status, the aura, the dream of what you're trying to achieve, and you can almost be too far ahead in the road and not necessarily get stuck in the detail. That's kind of what I would add.
Well, thank you. And maybe it's a bit controversial, but also a question for all of you guys. Do you think that it's also driven by the personality of the founder, of the founders? That there are people who just are naturally good at convincing other people, and those who are really uncomfortable with that. And then at the end of the day, that's a formula of this. So people just delay the fundraising till the last moment and focus on bootstrapping. It's just because they are uncomfortable.
I think yes and no. Yes, some personalities definitely are more prone to chase that. But I think the environment that you are in also prescribes that a little bit. There's major differences from the big four economies across the continent and the rest of Africa in how they perceive this, just because there isn't so much VC money flowing in the other economies outside of Nigeria, South Africa, Kenya, and Egypt, right? And so you will find that the entrepreneurs outside of those big markets tend to at least have a plan for both. Like, if we fundraise, we'll expand at this rate. If we don't, we need to make sure that our economics work well enough that this business can keep running. And so sometimes it is both a personality thing, and other times it's an environment thing. Additionally, we do find that women tend to want to bootstrap more than men. And so that could also be something that is around just like the gender dynamics and the expectation around how badly women are funded on this continent. I mean, $5+ billion last year, and only 4% of that went to women. It's really dismal.
I think, for me, it depends. It goes down to why you actually started the business as well. If you are one of those that see stars at night and think that you're part of those stars, obviously you're going to do what it requires for you to shine. So in some instances, it may want you to put yourself out there. And I think with the era of social media, there are a lot of these entrepreneurial influencers out there that are just putting themselves out, telling us what they're doing. Whether they are actually doing what they're saying they're doing is a completely different matter altogether. But it's because they like the idea of being a popular, successful entrepreneur. Whereas in some instances, they want those successful businesses. And in some instances, it requires you to play the game. Unfortunately, wherever we are, the game is the game. You have to be out there and network and get to know people for the sake of capital raising or putting together some corporate partners in your pocket. But you see the nuances, I think, when we're out there. There are people that are just game players for the sake of playing the game. But then there are people that have to play the game for the success of their businesses.
Yeah, I don't have too much more to add to it. I'll just be explaining it in a different language.
Yeah, all I would say is I don't think it's a straightforward question. I think it probably boils down to people that are worth funding versus those that aren't, and people that I think there's a nature-nurture element to it. And what I mean by that is sometimes it's personality, and we all have in our mindset it's a generalization of that charismatic entrepreneur. But the truth is, I think entrepreneurs come in all different shapes and sizes, all different types of personalities. Some might be very inspirational, others might not be, but they're still really good at starting a business and building it. And I think that whole VC question, I think it is definitely something that is romanticized out there. Everybody wants a unicorn. And I think specifically in the tech space, it's kind of something that everybody sees as what you need to have to be able to get that business going. But there are other industries where it's not as well kind of sought after, and people kind of build businesses much slower. So I think it kind of depends on the context.
Oh, thanks for that. But I guess we still see that there are some discrepancies in this market. It was noted that less than 3% of startups are female-led companies. And like in Kenya, for example, we see that about 80% of funding still goes to expats and is not raised by, say, local founders. My next question to you guys is, we all know that any successful startup needs to do both, fundraise and bootstrap at some point. What do you think is this perfect moment when the company needs to go for funding instead of bootstrapping, and if they don't, they basically just delay their growth?
Somebody else can kick that one off.
I'm happy to go there. So I think when we're looking at fundraising specifically, you've got to look at the various ways you can get funds. And the best ways to get funds is always going to be through your clients, unless you can get money for free through government subsidies and that type of thing. That's going to be the best way to get money. But your traditional best way is through clients. So if you can do it through your client base, that is the best way. To go down to the VC perspective and get to that, it's once you've got a clear path through a growth strategy that you can see is going to work, and by adding more money to that, you're going to get much faster returns, then bringing in a VC, it makes a hell of a lot of sense. But it doesn't have to be a VC, it can be any sort of investor, just bringing outside funds from that perspective. But also when we're looking at funding, it's a factor of value creation for who? And most people, when we talk about value creation, we think, okay, there's a customer base that we're creating value for. But there's also an investment base that we're creating value for. There's also employees we're creating value for. There's also suppliers we're creating value for. There's also the community we're creating value for. And you can capture value from any one of those particular points. And in startups, specifically early stage startups, you are capturing value from your employees because chances are you can't pay full market related salaries. You're asking them to take a subsidy to be able to join this and pay it down later on. Or it's a motivational play. In a supplier perspective, we've had a client that they put very favorable terms on their payment structure to be able to pay that supplier. So they put 6 months delays into paying that supplier off. So they got all the materials they needed, they got everything. They sold that off, and then 6 months later they paid it back. So funding doesn't have to come from a venture capital. It doesn't have to come from an investor. You've got lots of different ways to be able to look at that. And being able to get it from your client, that is the most effective and best way of getting there.
Yeah, if I can also just add to what Brett said, there's also the element of the complexity of the product or the service that you're putting out there. There are certain things that are just IP heavy, require a lot of R&D that is beyond the pockets of the founders. However, my personal rule of thumb is wait until, as what Brett said, there is actual value that you're putting out there. Even if it's a rudimentary product that doesn't have the bells and whistles, but as long as there is proof that whatever you're putting out there does emit value to an end customer of sorts, then maybe the next step would be to build it out in the best way that you possibly can. Then yes, let there be room. But I wouldn't recommend anyone to raise funds from the get-go when there's absolutely no value that has been defined from your end as a founder.
I'll add to that. I agree with both points. And in addition to that, I think it depends on the stage where you're at in your business and what you actually need the money for. Because every type of money costs money, right? Every type of money costs you something, including grants. Those grants can take a hell of a time to just report on. You'll be reporting for 6 years post the time you use the money for the grant. And so it's really important from an entrepreneur's perspective to first of all know your options as to how the types of funding that you can look out for, what's best suited for the particular purpose that you want. For example, if you need it for a big asset that could unlock some good value, equity is not necessarily the right thing. That could just be, like an asset loan that you can get out of, depending on how quickly you create that value, right? And so the wrong financing at the wrong time has killed many an entrepreneur because they just have not been able to create the right value to, give back to their funder. And so with these stages saying that there's something of value that you have to create, it's also important to think about the cost that any of this financing will bring to the entrepreneur before you make that leap.
All I'll add is I'll say I think it's a strategic decision. There's a time where you may need it. We made the call not to go for funding at a certain point in our journey. We were happy to rather do it on our own. It takes much longer because we can only afford X number of developers. With funding, you could afford, X time 100. But we decided we wanted full control, and we wanted to be able to do it on our terms. So we chose not to go there. But someone else may have made the different decision, got the funding, got the developers, got to market quicker, but we didn't want the payoff.
Oh, thanks. That's very good points. One thing I would add from our experience is that I think my advice to every entrepreneur would be, regardless of the strategy, bootstrapping or fundraising, at some point of your life, you will have to fundraise. It's really, really important to understand the difference between different financing types, different investors, and understand what's the best fit for you at this particular point of time. Because the biggest mistakes we see that founders just don't understand what they want. And then they pick wrong investors, wrong financing, and end up either being over-diluted or with many other issues. Perfect. I think my last question would be for you guys, if you were to give an advice, okay, given that where we are at the moment with macroeconomics and all the global crisis, VC funding is not available anymore, valuations are subdued, people are laying over staff, Silicon Valley Bank is down. If you were to give an advice to a person who want to start business tomorrow, what would it be?
And that's the show.
I'll go first. I think we've already said it. I think you got to have the value creation. You need to know what it is you're actually trying to solve for, and you need to know that it's actually going to make a difference somewhere. It's going to hit a pain point for someone, so that you can build a business around a product that actually has a purpose. I think a lot of times people have great ideas that sound fantastic, but if nobody wants to buy it, it doesn't help. So that's the first thing, is you got to find the right product that's going to make a difference, hit a pain point, and you've got to develop a business model that can be profitable. If you've got those two things, I think then you can decide on the best way to get it to market.
Yeah, so there's a fantastic book out there called The Mom Test. It's a brilliant book to answer that specific question. But the real key is customer validation. And you need to be able to do that early and often. The sooner you can start doing that, the better. And if you can validate these customer assumptions while being paid by somebody else, that's a very good way of doing it. Only once you're very confident in what you're doing, be able to go out on your own is a good way of doing that. But the key in the start is always building your sales capability. Like, that is the number one thing that's going to get you off the ground. It's the number one thing that's going to grow your business and get you to your certain point. So sales capability through customer validation and building out that story, that narrative, is the only way you're going to get that business off the ground.
I would say, further to what Kevin and Brett said, be cold about your business and be cold about what it is that you're doing. If it's not working, it's not working. Don't force matters. If something doesn't necessarily provide customer validation or solve a particular problem, or the problem's not big enough, kill it. I think there are a lot of people that think their ideas matter when, in all honesty, they don't. And we just need to get to that place of being more cold about evaluating our business. Yes, it hurts. Yes, it may break your heart and you may not sleep at night. But rather that now than 2-3 years down the line, after spending all your savings and your retirements and lying to VCs and other financiers that this works when it doesn't. So kill it now, kill it quickly if it doesn't work, and then find a bigger problem or a better solution for the problem.
I'll add that a good way to be able to kill it now and kill it quickly is to stop calling your business ideas babies, because nobody wants to be told their baby is ugly, okay? Yes. So rather call them experiments. That way the experiment didn't work, on to the next one. So you're not that highly invested, just to help you out with being able to kill things quickly. Nobody wants to throw away their baby. But I would say don't waste a good crisis, right? In every crisis, there's lots of opportunity. And I think that we're going to just have some phenomenal businesses coming out of this time of, I guess, less spending, because maybe the entrepreneurs will find the type of ideas and value creation opportunities that actually just make money from the get-go. So don't waste a good crisis. Just keep validating as quickly, as fast as possible what works, and keep creating value, and you'll be fine. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thanks for this insights. And I guess we can wrap up and open up for questions.
Yep. So we get the mic. We've got one. That was quick. 1, 2, 3 questions. Anyone else? Anyone else? 4. So we're locking in those 4 questions and for this round. Cool. Can we start there?
Hi everyone, my name is Brendan. I'm from Graphitech. I just wanted to understand if there is a clear problem in the market and a clear value proposition to that problem, can a business really fail, or do founders run out of energy and they just need to find ways of evolving their businesses, either their business model or finding new ways of financing it, or whatever the problem may be that they're facing? Thank you.
Yes.
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 So there's a beautiful theory out there called the jobs to be done theory, that looks at a problem through multiple lenses. And although there might seem like there's a functional solution to it, and the functional solution makes a lot of sense to it, there's emotional or social context that you might not necessarily understand, and therefore they might not make that purchase. So I've seen it a lot in called process automation, specifically in South Africa, where what you're bringing to the fore is something that's going to drive efficiencies that's inevitably going to lead to layoffs. The person that's needing to make that decision is the same person that is inviting that person that they need to lay off that week, and their family's coming around for a bride. There's all those types of things that, although functionally it makes perfect sense, it's going to make a lot more money for the business. Emotionally, that's a decision that that person's not going to make unless they're forced to make that decision. So that's just one example of a functional problem that makes a lot of sense, but it's going to fail because of an emotional issue around it.
There's also just the inability for the founders or the team to just sell. You know, the value proposition is there, the gap is there in the market, and you're just not going to your customers and saying bye. You know, you have all of these meetings, and the meeting goes very well, but there isn't that closing of the deal, so it's very possible to still fail.
Cool. I just want to say there's even that inability of the founders to actually build out that solution. You know what the solution is, you see the value proposition, but there's just incapability internally in the team to actually build out that solution. So it can work out in so many ways.
Just another example, I think more closely to yours, is I think what you're doing, a lot of it's business intelligence, data analytics orientated, which it's called seasoned and senior people have been making decisions not necessarily off of data, and now you're putting data front and center. What you're asking them to do is put themselves in a very vulnerable position in front of their team too. So there's another very good emotional reason for somebody not buying a solution that makes complete sense, and in one context will make a world of difference and potentially a success or failure difference to a business. In another context, it's not even a channel or a conversation they're willing to have.
Okay, all I'm going to add is I'm going to say in the Civitas network, we talk a lot about the sales channel. And I think that's something a lot of businesses spend a lot of time working on, because you can have a great product, but you have to work out how to sell it. And I think a lot of us know our products are good intuitively, but if you can't work out how to get the customer to see the value, it could be a great solution, no one's going to buy it. And the other thing I'd say is I think sometimes brilliant businesses fail just because they're badly run. That's the thing.
Yeah. Cool. I think that that rose earlier, so well, that rose further back. Is that mic working?
Okay.
Cool. There we go.
Yeah. So my question hits a little bit on the person. It's a personal question, meaning that it leans more towards the entrepreneur themselves. You know, the person. I'm speaking for a lot of entrepreneurs here. There's always that element of imposter syndrome, right? And I don't know what your view is on this school of thought that startups from the US and Nigeria specifically are a little bit more aggressive in terms of how they present or they sell value versus South African startups. I don't know what your view is on that. Why I'm referring that question to you is I want to understand, following on Brendan's question, if you've identified a real problem and you have a real value, and where do you fail? Does the personality maybe not come across, and are you able maybe not to articulate, your value the way that you need to before you can it? Like the gentleman say, just now you're canning gold, and you just probably were not in the best position to maybe sell it. Maybe a stronger sales force would be able to help you articulate it, but you find yourself being a little bit more humble. So is there a difference between South African startups, I speak so for myself, versus those from the US, and does an aggressive sort of approach have anything to do with it? Thanks.
Okay, so I'm going to first say that what I'm realizing is I think we all come across as if we think we're experts, and I'm definitely not. I'm exactly like everyone else. I'm also an entrepreneur, just finding my way. Like, you know, I always say when we had our parents, we thought they were perfect. Then we became parents and we realized they were just winging it. It's exactly the same, okay? I will say this. There is research that I've seen that tells us that South Africans are typically less conflict. We more conflict averse than a US market would be. And I think if you talk to people that break into other markets, they'll say, I mean, I spoke to a guy with a business in Australia, and he said, everyone speaks English, but they don't say the same thing. You don't understand what they mean. I know a guy in Canada that said the same thing. He said they talk to you, but none of it makes sense. So I don't think it's just Nigeria, US versus here. I think it's probably any market you look at. They're all going to have the nuances. So there's some wonderful things about the way we do business here and the way we do business on the continent that makes us very unique and very special. And if we can harness that and take it internationally and kind of recognize how it's different, it can probably be a value add. But I do think, and this is just a thought, I do think we're less aggressive as people in our mindset than you'd find in like the US.
So I spent a couple of years in the US, so I've seen quite a lot of that firsthand, and that market is totally, totally different to South Africa. The unemployment's like 3%. So their safety net is like massive. Our safety net in this country is you could be on the streets if this fails. Whereas in a US perspective, okay, this business failed, I'm gonna go on to the next one, I'm gonna go on to the next one, I'm gonna go on to the next one, or I can always get a corporate job, or I've got a blanket, I've got a safety net beforehand, and I'm not gonna put my own money into this because I know I can get money from my neighbor down the street. So it's a very, very different mindset, and everything from being raised as a child right the way through is about building confidence in yourself. There's a hell of a lot of confidence that happens inside of that space, and there's a lot more community building around like supporting success in that space. So success breeds success, and it keeps going. So that's a very big factor that happens there. But capital is all over the show. Like you can literally go down to your neighbor, and they'll give you $20,000 just willy-nilly. It's a great idea. Let's go do this and let's see what happens.
For your Instagram for cats.
Exactly. You know, there's money to be made all over the show. There's a niche. Yeah. When you've got 300 million consumers, there's a niche. You got to find it. So you can make money in that way, and in a lot of different ways in that country. Whereas here, 30% unemployment and the tax base plus everything else, the consumer power, it's so much harder. The other side, on the sales perspective, sales is difficult. And selling in this environment is difficult. You can have the best technical solution, but if you can't get it across in a way that somebody buys into it, it's going to be difficult to get that across. One of the best people out there that I've seen is Rich Mulholland. If you're on LinkedIn, go check his stuff out. He's absolutely brilliant, and just little hacks, little tactics to be able to frame certain things in a way that's going to make you remember it or make you buy it. So look into that. Story seller. There's a whole bunch of different things around sales.
Yeah, I don't have much to say, but I think what I can say, though, is humility does not mean you're not confident. And you'll find that, though, the American style of selling may not work here in South Africa because of our culture and who we are. So you, as an entrepreneur, with your personality and who you are, I think I just want to affirm that you are good enough to run your business. You're good enough to actually make your businesses successful. Don't think that because this culture is a humble culture, that it does not mean that they are not confident and know what they're talking about. I understand that there are instances, yes, of imposter syndrome, but you have to remind yourself of what steps took you for you to be in this position, to run the business that you're running, and to have the value proposition that you have somehow managed to carve out in a possibly saturated market. So backing yourself while being humble is not a conflict of personality. It's just a culture of the place. And you find that the rest of a good chunk of sub-Saharan Africa is like that. I mean, if you speak to a Nigerian person versus a Ghanaian person, neighbors, but very different personalities. But they do get the job done. And even abroad, when you go to China, they have a different personality in terms of how they're selling. And you'll find that it aligns more or less with how South Africans sell.
in terms of culture. So yeah.
Cool. Can we have the mic over there? And
Thank you. I think a question to the investors, obviously say when you found it's not working, kill it and kill it fast. What I'd like to understand from your history and your portfolio companies, how many times have you seen a successful pivot, and how involved were you or weren't you in that, which might also include telling the founder gently to get out of the way? I'd love to understand in terms of your engagement with your founders, how active you have been and where it has or hasn't worked.
So when we invest, we actually look at it more like we're a strategic partner, so we are quite involved. We run strategic planning sessions with our entrepreneurs every quarter. We're having monthly management meetings with them as well. In terms of seeing successful pivots, probably in our portfolio of 14 in one fund and 11 in the other fund that we manage, we've seen probably about 5. And it's not always easy, because the entrepreneur is in the business, doing the business. And even when you can see that this needs to shift, trying to get them to shift can be quite a challenge. And so, yeah, I mean, it depends on the personality of the entrepreneur. Some are more strong-headed and they will want to hit their head into the wall 5 times before they shift, whilst others are a lot more pliable and are happy to try a new thing the minute they hit the wall the first time, yeah. So, yeah, 5 out of maybe 25.
So if I can just, the success that we've seen in that is the founders self-identifying into that. And it's a facilitation skill that is very difficult to master. And as soon as you come from a power dynamic situation, there's a defensiveness that's going to come into that conversation. Founders are very, very, very well attuned to what their investor sentiment is. And 3 bad decisions and they've lost their investors. They're very, very well aware of it. So if an investor's coming in to have that conversation, you're automatically coming up against, or I'm losing my investors, and back against the war mentality and all that. But if they can self-identify, and when I say self-identify, usually it's a 2-hour conversation. This isn't a hey, a phone call thing. This is a sit down, unpack, help them see what's going on in their business and see where they are the problem in that business, and then see them self-identify into solutions to that.
Cool. Last one. Do we have where's the mic? Can we have it come down here? Okay, yeah, this is much, much, much quicker.
All right, thank you very much.
Please do stand up. Tell your name.
Hi, my name is Tebogo Petlele. I'm from a company called Seponono Africa. My question, I think you have answered it indirectly, but I just wanted to find out. I found myself at some stage in a very conflicting position where I had to transition from what worked and it was not working. So would you still say kill it? Is it not about maybe advising them to be innovative? Because I've realized that there's many ways to kill a cat. So sometimes just saying kill it, it's like you telling me not to be resilient. Maybe it's just a matter of you to say, we don't think that you are ready, then I have to go back and relook it into my strategy and just become innovative. It's not maybe a question, but maybe we can chat.
Cool. I'll answer that because that was quite direct.
You were the killer.
Yeah, I was quite threatening, wasn't I? I think when I say kill it, Tebogo, I don't necessarily mean kill or throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's reconsider where you're going. And obviously, I'm entitled to an opinion. You're entitled to an opinion as a founder. And when we say kill it, we're not saying this doesn't work, go away. We actually give our reasons why we don't think this may be the right route to go. More than happy for you to counter that and for you to back yourself. And it's a question then of, and it will always be a dialogue. It's not a once-off thing. But if you can provide that substantive evidence and in terms of how you want to work, then I think we're more than happy to stand behind you if you provide a good route to how you're going to resolve what we believe is something that is not working. So we're not saying killing or killing you or anything. It's just reconsider this. Just kill it sounds so nice, but we're not saying kill everything, reconsider.
Just there's two ways to kill a business. One, cash running out. Second, motivation running out. So as long as you've got the motivation and you're prepared not to have the cash coming out of it, you can do whatever you want for as long as you want, provided you've got the motivation. So if an investor says you need to kill this idea, understand why they're saying that. Where is the problem within this that they won't put money in? Because they won't be putting money in for a couple of reasons, but the biggest thing is they think they can get a better return elsewhere. So if they think they're going to get a better return elsewhere, what can you do within your business model, within your business, to be able to get a similar type return that would attract that person? And figure out those different ways, because like you said, there's many ways to kill a cat, but understanding where you've gone wrong, that is the space. And you might not have gone wrong. It might not have been the right investor or the right person. You might have gone to a tech funder with a manufacturing business. It's like you're just never going to get anywhere with it. And maybe you've got there because it's a favor, and they want to be able to support black entrepreneurship, female entrepreneurship, and they're having this conversation off the back of it. You know, there's so many different motivations to have that, but unless you ask the clarifying question as to why this didn't work, and it's a hard question to ask, it's a vulnerable question to ask. You're kind of saying, like, oh, I made a mistake, but I want to know what that mistake was, and I want the honest truth as to what mistake I made. That's a tough position to put yourself in, but you are putting yourself in that position.
Thank you very much, everybody. Can we give our panel a big round of applause as they prepare to leave stage? You guys just all congregate there for a group photo. And I will make sure that you guys look really good in that newsletter. Thank you very much, guys. Yes. And now for the show. This is sort of like the headline of the headline event. I'm going to join us on stage right now will be Christoph to introduce to you the who will be launching a very exciting
Yes, so we are super excited. It's starting to be late in the day, but let's get some energy here because we have a huge announcement to make. So I don't know if you guys know, you've heard these panels and keynotes since yesterday about the growth of investment on the continent, which is great news. So we went from 300 million back in 2017 to over 6 billion in equity and debt funding to tech startups on the continent. But do you know how much of that money goes to female founders-led business? How many percent? 4? 1? 4.7? 2%? Okay. You think it's normal? You think it's okay? It's 3%, less than 3% of the market, and it's actually even worse for debt venture funding, goes to female-led businesses. And that's in part of the fact that there are much more than 3% female-led business in Africa, that this business actually usually performing really great in terms of resilience and business development. And research has demonstrated over and again that diversity unlocks innovation and performance. And that any business that is led by female or has significant amount of female in their top line management performs better than companies with no or less females. So a few weeks ago, we started thinking about this problem, which is not a new problem. It's been there for a long time. And started engaging with our trusted partner, Amazon Web Services, and see what can we do to try to change that. And one of the way to change that, which we know how to do at AfricArena, is to showcase businesses, connect founders with market access and capital opportunity through the work we do, the bootcamp, all the things you've seen in this last few days. So we thought it would be really great that we do something that really focus on female founders. And so I'm very proud to introduce this program to you, but I will do that with someone really special who you saw yesterday. I hope you saw that yesterday. She's an incredible founder, an extremely talented person, and she's built 150 million Black Founders Accelerator of Amazon. She comes all the way from the West Coast. She's based in Seattle. And so she's traveled 2 days to be with us. She's now the business development manager of the underrepresented founder group at Amazon Web Services Startups. So it's my privilege. And yesterday, she mastered this moderation of that incredible panel we had. I think, Tiffany, you had 120,000 of your followers watching because you crashed the AfricArena website because of the number of people who were accessing the feed. And so it's my great privilege to introduce Tiffany Johnson to you this afternoon, Tiffany. And she's going to explain to you why we are doing this, why AWS is doing this. Over to you, Tiffany.
Wow, so much pressure. Well, thank you, Christophe, for that amazing introduction. I tend not to take myself too serious because we're all just people. And I don't want you to feel intimidated to come up to me, so feel free to come up to me after. Can I see a show of hand how many female founders are here? Okay. I just want you to know that I see you. I see you, and you deserve to be here, and you deserve to be invested in. I'm going to tell you a little bit about our partnership with AfricArena, the Femtech Startup Innovation Challenge. And apologies for my phone. I'll be reading a bit. I'm Tiffany Johnson. I'm a Global Business Development Manager on the AWS Underrepresented Founder Business Development Team. This team was founded in 2020, and I'm so honored to have the privilege today to introduce to you the AWS-sponsored Femtech Startup Innovation Challenge. So for over a decade and a half, AWS has been the driving force behind more startup launches, growth, and successes than any other cloud provider. How many of you are building on AWS? Okay, are you afraid to raise your hands? We have consistently delivered the most comprehensive and cutting-edge suite of services, empowering startups to push the boundaries of what's possible, validate their ideas, and shape the future. In 2020, we created the URF, which stands for Underrepresented Founders, Startup Business Development Team, to intensify our commitment to accelerating businesses led by underrepresented founders. These include women, people of color, those with African, Latin American, and Native American heritage. So why exactly is this challenge important? One, Christophe mentioned, less than 3% of women are being invested in on the continent of Africa. That's a bit discouraging. In the US, it's less than 2%, and it got even worse during the economic downturn. So the global gender gap in entrepreneurship and venture capital has been a significant concern in recent years, and this disparity is even more pronounced in Africa. So as per the World Bank, only $1 is invested in women for every $25 directed towards men in the African startup sphere. I'll say that again. Only $1 is invested in women for every $25 directed towards men within the African startup ecosystem. This imbalance is not only hampers the potential of female entrepreneurs, but also impedes the growth of the entire African startup ecosystem. Despite these challenges, several startups founded by women have secured venture capital and created a significant impact in their respective industries. So a few notable examples that some of you might know include Akiba Digital, Okra, LifeBank, PiggyVest, Ovamba Solutions, and others. These trailblazing female founders demonstrated the immense potential of women-led startups in Africa. Supporting more women entrepreneurs will not only foster diversity and inclusion, but also contribute to economic growth and social development across the continent. So in collaboration with AfricArena, the Femtech Startup Innovation Challenge strives to rectify this imbalance by one, showcasing and celebrating the accomplishments of women startups, inspiring more women to enter the tech industry as founders as well as leaders. Two, providing a platform for participating startups to pitch their ideas, which is exactly what AfricArena is doing, to an esteemed panelist of judges comprising of prominent venture capitalists and industry experts. And three, facilitating the networking opportunities for women entrepreneurs to connect with investors, mentors, and other resources, helping them scale their businesses and achieve success. So I encourage all the women here in the audience today to keep an eye on the AfricArena website as we launch the Femtech Startup Innovation Challenge. Applications will be opening soon. And despite who you are, whether you're a woman, you're a man, or whatever you identify as, join us in empowering women founders to contribute in a more diverse and vibrant AfricArena startup ecosystem. I want to thank AfricArena for coming up with this brilliant idea. And I want to first and foremost thank AWS, Henry, who proposed this idea about a month ago. Many of you probably know Henry because he's very deep in this ecosystem, connecting with you, ensuring that you have the opportunities that you need to scale your business to that next level. One of my quotes is, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And AWS is in this work together with you. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Tiffany. And yes, on our side at AfricArena, we've been supporting many female founders over the years, but we endeavor to redouble our efforts thanks to this new challenge. And I think you're going to be seeing, hopefully, a lot of deals coming out of that, because we're all about outcome. It's not just about being on stage and pitching, it's about outcome and raising capital. So founders, you're watching us online, please apply on this challenge. It is online right now, africarena.com. And let's get it running. The first batch will be pitching in New York City in just 3 weeks for the next AfricArena event. So see you there, and then in the next few events in Dakar, Cairo, and so forth. So I think we're going to start with some pitching now. Oliver, are you going to drive that? Yeah. Thanks.
Great. So we're going to have a round of pitches, and these are the 5 startups, female startups. Can I ask them to, well, firstly, we do have a jury, so I'd like to introduce them. Tiffany, Jocelyn Nyagu says on the jury, she's the marketing and PR at Startup Bootcamp, for his second time today serving as a jury member. Cool, shout out. Can I ask all the startups that are pitching to just, move to the front so that we can make this as seamless as possible. There are a couple of seats available here. And we're going to start right away. Tesla Holdings. Did I say that correct? Tesla Holdings. There we go. There you go.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rosalind, and I'm the founder and farm manager of Tesla Holdings. Did you guys eat this afternoon? Did you eat? You thank me. So, Tesla Holdings is we do sustainable agriculture through hydroponic farming. The problem that we encountered is when I moved to the Vau area about 6 years ago, we found that a lot of women who were farm workers, they didn't have jobs that they were proud of. They would wake up around 4 a.m. in the morning to work in the fields. This is through the rains, through the blazing sun and everything. And yet, at the end of the month, sometimes they don't even have the salaries that they deserve with the hard work that they are doing. So I went around, I looked, a friend of mine then said, okay, look into hydroponics. I did my research, and I stumbled upon the fact that agriculture uses 70% of the world's fresh water. So where does that leave everyone else? So with hydroponics, you are able to save over 80% of the water. This is where our solution comes to. By saving water, and hydroponic uses less space. When you're doing your conventional farming, compared to what hydroponic does, you are able to save over 40% of the land. We do controlled environment agriculture. What does that mean? It means that we are able to produce all year round. There is no season when you're doing hydroponics. So our product demo is this. We have an open bag system where if you're doing plants like tomatoes, like your cucumbers, like your peppers, this is where we use the open bag system. And when we are doing your herbs, your leafy vegetables, you use the nutrient film technique. So our market size, we started in Midvale area. We are located in the Sedibeng region. We started there, where we are currently supplying 7 local restaurants, and one of our biggest partners is Harvest Fresh. So we are targeting on going into the southern Africa with a concentration on Zambia, on Swaziland, and on Botswana. Our business model is that, a short story is, when I got funded myself, I got a service provider to come and install the hydroponic system for me, and they made a mess out of it. And I come from a construction background, and I thought, okay, this is basically your structural engineering and your plumbing. Then I did find a solution where I could actually do that with my own construction background. So our other revenue stream will be the selling of our produce. We also found out that even though we might want to include these women, we should provide for them the training. So also targeting the Department of Agriculture and targeting the Department of Education. So our biggest competition is the local farmers who have got a much bigger land than us. But our value is that we are able to do production more on that small scale. So the team comprises of me, Roslyn, is the sole founder and the farm manager. I have my colleague, Modieke Mkhoho. She did a master's in quantity surveying. I did the hydroponics and trano production. And then we have Taurai Takaripiwa. He does our structural steel detailing. So our traction is from when I started my proof of concept, from a 6x2 meter, I got funded $30,000 that I managed to install a 10x30. And we also are in the process of installing our other tunnel. And our projected revenue per season for the 2 tunnels is 480,000, and per year it's 1.4 million on the 2 tunnels. Our growth is we want to upgrade our hydroponic system to maximize on the saving of water, identify farmers where we can change from the conventional farming to come to hydroponics, track and capture ourselves and put a payment gateway on our website. We also want to increase our social media presence and open up some pop-up shops. Our investment ask is 3.2 million rands to expand our operations, adding 10 additional tunnels, and one of our most important issues is to have renewable energy and take our farm off the grid. 80% will be used for infrastructure development, 20% towards running costs. Thank you.
First of all, thank you for lunch. It was really great.
You're welcome.
Just to understand your business, I understand that the conventional farmers have more land, but I guess you're more land efficient. Just to understand, what is the typical, I guess, one cost structure of setting up the same productivity you have as for, let's say, a bigger farm? So, for example, I have 10 hectares, you can do it in one. Am I saving X million rand or X% as a farmer?
So I'll give you an example of the square meters that I'm currently dealing with. So for the cost, the set of cost up is a bit high for hydroponics. So if I am doing 300 square meters, the cost for me will be about 260,000 to do the initial setup. But this is where hydroponics is better. You don't, like for me, I don't use herbicides, I don't use pesticides, I only use biostimulants. When you're doing it outside, it's risky. It's very risky. Look at the weather, we were taught about the triple El Nino and all of that. So I feel that in the long run, hydroponics is definitely better than the conventional farming.
Just to add to that, I feel that maybe it might be very important for you to look at that cost and try to help the people who you want to also do this hydroponics in terms of cost. So if you're saying it's very expensive, it might be better to have a buy now, pay later model or something like that incorporated in your business. And then my question was around your produce.
Yes.
So what are the key things that you produce and how do you preserve them? Do you have a cold storage system running? What's that like?
All right, so I only do English cucumber. That is where I'm specializing because of the amount of space that I have. So on the cold storage, I don't have. So what I do is, once I've got my clients that I know they need orders on certain days. So I only harvest on the day that I go to deliver. So part of our infrastructure development on the money that we have asked for is actually to expand on having a refrigerated truck and also a cold storage.
Great job. You're solving a huge problem. As I understand, the conventional farming leverages 70% of water. I would love for you to sell that a little bit more because that's a big deal. Climate change is a big thing right now, and that has a huge impact on it. I'm curious to know, because this is a worldwide issue. I'm curious to know what's your go-to market strategy and how you plan to scale it to other countries.
Okay. Please, can I? Yeah, we want to go to the Southern Africa market, but with the European market, because that they've got so much energy, our model is more for the African market because energy is a crisis here, so it doesn't really require the energy amount that your European markets have with the indoor farming. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Only because you're responsible for lunch. And next up is Ijubi. Can we welcome on stage Ijubi?
Hello, you can hear me. My name is Mangalem Patlele. I cannot speak Zulu to save my life. I'm very much Betty. So just to make you aware, thank you so much for having me here today. So essentially, we are an HR technology company that provides connection between employers and job seekers. Okay, here we go. So essentially, we help organizations stand out with the best recruitment platforms. We believe in equal access to employment opportunity and placing the right candidates into the right roles. So what made us start Ijobi essentially is that we spoke to a number of employers and hiring managers, and what we found is that there are sourcing issues at the top of some of the challenges that they're facing. They also found frustration in sifting through large amounts of applications, managing applications, communicating with applicants, and then we spoke to over 135 of them just to understand this problem so we can build a suitable solution for them. On the other side, we had job seekers who were discouraged because of the job seeking costs, and some would find it not easy to see opportunities or be visible to employment opportunities. So we decided to then set up a platform that will allow the two to be able to talk whilst we solve for the problems on both sides. Okay, so in terms of our solution, we provide a solution that allows recruiters to be able to reduce the time it takes to be able to fill jobs. We also have a matching tool that is quite intelligent in terms of matching jobs, actually profiles to jobs descriptions of the employers. In this way, it's able to reduce the quality or rather the lack of quality of candidates that will come through our platform. In terms of job seekers, we've set up a solution that allows them to be easy to apply for jobs, and it allows them to be able to increase their chances of getting a job by applying different channels, with just different channels, SMS and WhatsApp. And we found that there's more reach in terms of opportunities when we allow our job seekers to be able to use such platforms. So in terms of our journey, we were established in 2016, but we built a prototype around 2017, which was more on the job seeker side. And at around 2019 and 2021, we built the recruiter side of it, the hiring manager side of it, and we did a lot of market validation throughout the Corona environment, and that's where we started getting more traction. Currently, right now, we're looking at acquiring 25,000 users from a job seeker perspective and over 50 employers. So our key achievements so far, essentially we've raised over 3 million in grant funding. So we still have our full equity. We haven't had an investor as yet. So hopefully very soon, probably in 2024, we see ourselves getting an investor on board, and we've generated over 1 million with projects, because when we started what we did the traditional recruiting just to understand the market. But essentially our vision was to become a technology company. And then we have over 7,500 job seekers that are registered on our platform right now, and they are sending over 12,000 CVs via our platform. And then in terms of hiring managers and recruiters, we've got now over 22 customers. We've only now started to establish our product market fit, and I think we're finally finding the right fit market for us, and we are ready to scale, I think, in 2024. Then in terms of integrations, we've integrated into 3 companies, a municipality, a job board, and they're accessing some of the technology and functionality that we have on our platform. How we make money? So on the recruiter side, hiring manager side, we have a subscription process where recruiters can subscribe to our service. We also make money through credits that they would buy. They would load money or a wallet onto our platform and be able to use that money to buy different credits to communicate, to screen, to match their jobs. In terms of job seekers, we also do charge a little bit when it comes to SMS communication. However, the rest of our services are free to them. In terms of our go-to-market, we heavily relied on digital platforms, but we also in key ecosystems when it comes to NGOs, institutions, employers, and a various number of companies that we are able to access opportunities through, but also at the same time, we're able to generate traffic to our platform. In terms of our ask, we're asking for 600,000 with a save option. Essentially, we would love to give up our equity a little bit later. But our vision ultimately would be able to get 160 customers when we get that funding and be able to break even in 18 months. Our team, so essentially we made up of a team of 11 people, as you saw. And one of our product lead developers is more into the IT space, and I'm more into the sales space.
From where?
Oh.
Okay. He's gone. Do you have any questions?
Okay, I think first thing I would want to know is, in terms of your valuation right now, you're raising, right? 600,000. What valuation is that, and what is that based on?
So essentially, it's based on some of the revenue that we've generated already. And it's also based on some of the projects that are repeatable business that we're getting already. So I think our pre-money valuation round is 5 million. And then obviously post-valuation will be worth about 12 million.
Okay, got it. Question on my end. What's your proposed use of the fund, and how will this enable you to drive growth?
So essentially, when we get the funding, it will help us to be able to access markets and increase our efforts when it comes to acquiring customers. SaaS platforms are quite expensive in terms of, driving when it comes to marketing and improving on product development. So we're going to spend probably about 38% of our money on access to markets, and then the rest on product development and R&D.
We've got a good amount of time left. First of all, really epic earrings. They really stood out there. But what I wanted to highlight was in understanding your business. I know you're charging job seekers for SMSs. And I'm just thinking about business models we've seen in the past and invested in, where it may make sense to, for example, then either think about how you absorb the cost into the fee you charge the recruiters, or possibly consider WhatsApp, just because I think that could be a big hindrance, particularly given the shorter jobs you mentioned that you're targeting in terms of the blue-collar workforce. But I guess just in terms of a question, in terms of understanding where you're at, what would your ideal customer look like? And I guess both on the job seeker, but also on the employer side of things.
So on the job seeker side, the people that are using our platform are remote people, and they're people who are looking for entry-level jobs, and most of them have an average of 2 years experience. And on the employer side, we look for people that are looking to recruit in bulk, and they're recruiting more than 20 jobs per month, because it can become quite tedious to manage all those jobs. So then we automate that process for them and reduce the time and effort it takes to then go through applications and engage the applications of the job seekers. But we're finding that people who have existing job portals that want some certain level of automation and functionality are also now becoming more and more of our customer. And that's why I think we're starting to see where we're going to grow in terms of the type of customer we get.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to Ijubi. And up next, Sponona Africa is up next. Can we welcome them on stage?
Phew. It's nerves. So there is my way to start an introduction so I can be okay. My name is Tebogo Petlele. I'm from a company called Seponono Africa. At Seponono Africa, we are a solution-based company that is inclusive. I'll try to multitask. At Seponono Africa, our journey started with us selling African print head wraps. It started back in 2016, and the company got saturated. That's why I was very personal when they say you must kill it. So fast forward, during COVID-19, when everyone was anxious and everything, we started learning how to do digital branding. That's why Seponono Africa has since transitioned to creating digital branding, which is your website development, corporate identity, and then corporate gift. At Seponono Africa, our purpose is to amplify the beauty that is Africa when women are socio-economic empowered. So that's why I was very touchy that you can still be innovative. So we're still using an African print head wraps as our tool to solidify our presence as African women. So according to the World Economic Forum, it will take up to 132 years to bridge the gap of gender equality. And that's a big problem. And I thought to myself, how do we address that? So that by virtue of things, it will create the high rate of unemployment. It will create, and it's also caused by a lack of skills transfer and lack of gender equality. And the solution to it, we thought, we are going to still use our platform of using African print head wraps and get into different spaces like your mining industry, and to filter those spaces and show our presence. So at Seponono Africa, we create solutions such as creating employment and fostering digital skills transfer, empowerment for women. We've done campaign for that, which essentially helps us to create the to bridge the technological gaps and promoting gender equality. Our differentiator when we are doing the digital branding is that we are more of creating social impact, which is by essence of things, socio-economic empowerment for women and youth, creating skills transfer, and also giving work experience. Our business model is B2C, B2G, and B2B. So we are the service providers of CEDA, and then we also have our clients through an accelerator program that we did with Anglo American. And our potential risks are, since this was self-taught, so at times we lack that professional way of running the business. So we encounter such as delayed payments and sometimes having longer periods because we are outsourcing some of our services. At Siponono Africa, over the year, we've had traction where we did an accelerator program with 3 institutions, the Academy for Women Entrepreneurs and Anglo American, which we did parallel to each other. And recently we got listed as one of the top 10 South African company in South Africa by Grindstone X. And our recent achievement over the year was being part of CEDA, and CEDA as their service provider and getting an NYDA grant funding. But over the years, we've also had your World Economic Forum, Standard Bank, and many other companies as our clients. So we also have had PR exposure where we've done a women empowerment campaign using African print head wraps. Last year we approached Anglo American and encouraged men and women to put on head wraps and write a pledge as to what is the actual action that they will take towards covering this gender inequality and the lack of gender equality. So here I'm going to just speak about some of the challenges that we encountered over the year. We started our company, and when we resuscitated it last year, we started with 0 rand. So what we did, we just negotiated with a service provider to say, can you help us get a client? Can you help us with the services, and then we'll pay you at a later stage. At Siponono Africa, it's myself as the founder, and we have recently got an intern. And obviously with our company being Women Empowered Associated, we'll look into having events around Women's Month, Youth Days, and Women's Month, Youth Day, Heritage Day, and the 16 days of activism using the African print head wraps and doing our own internal digital branding. So our ask is not to get money, it's just to get exposure, access to market and network, and especially in particular because we are currently at an early stage of transitioning from what we used to just sell head wraps to the digital company. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Over to the jury.
So question, I want to make sure I thoroughly understand what you're building. So you're primarily focused on building websites, identities, corporate identity. Okay, got it. I want to hone in a bit on, you mentioned some risks there. I think, personal opinion, customer experience is really important. And you shared that one of your risks is, you know, just the long delays to get clients' product back. I'd love to understand your vetting process and if there's a correction of error that you're putting in place to kind of improve that customer experience. That way you can scale and not have to worry about, you know, clients getting upset about the long delays of their products.
Okay, so with that, what we do is I don't take as many clients as I can so that we can be able to cover them, and also the duration that we give them. We don't, instead of saying to them we'll deliver in 3 days, we add 4 more days just to have an extra room for it. And we've been using consultant all this time. As of March, we just got our first intern, so we're starting to bring things internally, and we have also applied to get machinery so we can have everything done in-house instead of outsourcing services.
Awesome, and happy to serve as a mentor. I saw you had my name on there, and see how I can connect you to some of the customer base within the US.
All right, thank you. I think just to elaborate on that, I got this invite 2 days ago, and I was not prepared, and I said, with the journey of a woman in a head wrap, it was emphasizing that I must always be actively and involved to put myself out there. The least that I can get is, you didn't do really well, but there's a room for improvement. That's why I was very strategic in not asking for any funds, because I'm still reworking on the business model. So I think for me, this whole thing of empowering women, it's to enable them to remember that there are different strategies that you can still put yourself out there and not risk a chance of getting the bigger pie.
No, thank you very much, and a great presentation. I think something which, having come from AfricArena for a number of years, is just the community of practice. And so I think there are many entrepreneurs who are further along in their journey, and some you can mentor as well. And so think about even this cohort as a group that you can actually engage with and be vulnerable with. I think we're all going on this journey together as entrepreneurs at different phases. I think just looking at your business, and I think clicking on the first question that was asked by Tiffany, in terms of understanding your business, I think it's important to almost be very clear on the value proposition you have and rather focus. If I looked at your revenue models, there were a number of different ways in which you're generating revenue. And it could ultimately be, we want to give your brand to stand ahead above the rest, or whatever it is. But just be very clean on that, because I only got it when Tiffany asked the question around what you do. But I think on the other side, I think in terms of financing, just as a side note, I think there definitely are many options enabled to do invoice factoring, discounting, and so forth to unlock the capital there. And so that would be my only question in that regard.
I'm all good, and I'm receiving. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Big round of applause. Cool. Up next is Wizzy on. Wizzy OI. Yeah, that tripped me. There you go. Lovely earrings.
Cool. Hey guys, my name is Pumi, and I run a resale fashion marketplace called WeCOI, which stands for Wear It, Sell It, Own It, and we turn your closet into cash. So did you know that on average, 70% of a woman's closet is not worn regularly? And I want to put everyone in the crowd here, just make a mental calculation of how much of your own closet do you wear in a month. So what has happened over the past 15 years is the revenue for fashion has doubled, as well as the production. However, the number of wears have declined. So what is happening is we have a whole lot of clothes that are lying in people's closets and are in exceptional quality, and people do not know what to do about it. We decided to ask our customers as to why the hell are they not wearing their clothes. And some of the reasons was, I'm on social media. If I'm seen in this outfit, I'm not going to be seen in it again. Or I've outgrown my style. Or how many of us have got pants that we're still trying to lose weight for, and those pants are sitting in your closet for the past 2 years. Our solution is we've built a seamless platform where sellers can be able to easily onboard pictures of their items and sell their fashion. Buyers have got access to multiple brands at affordable pricing, and we are building a community where we've got where we're normalizing the exchange of clothes and keeping clothes in circulation and extending the life of a garment. Our total addressable market, so e-commerce South Africa is doing great. Last year we had an increase of 35%, which equates to 3.2 billion. A third of that was fashion, and we're looking at 1% of that fashion market. We have self-invested $38,000 into the business, and we have generated a revenue of 18,000. We have over 3,000 listings on the marketplace, and we have over 300 sellers that are active. In 21, we had a month-on-month growth of 20%. In 22, we decided to pull back on the revenue and rather grow our inventory, where we have 5x that. And now in 23, we're having a month-on-month growth of 32%. The current platform has got a seller management portal where sellers can run their own boutiques. We've got multi-payment options. We handle the shipping, and you can check out multiple vendors in a single order, and you can access the marketplace via website or on our app. The team is moi, My background is fashion e-commerce as well as digital marketing. We also have our technical co-founder, Campbell, and we also have an advisory who used to be the CTO for Jumia and has built some of the largest marketplaces in Africa, including Zando and a couple in Nigeria, as well as Europe. We've also been featured in a couple of publications. So, we've proved the concept, and what do we want to do now? So we've had a couple of chats, and based on customer service, the reviews that we've had, people want to start seeing, especially when it comes to pre-loved fashion, they actually want to see the garment, you know? It's one thing if you're taking a picture, and you can take 5 pictures, but they actually want to see the movement of the garment. Is it for my body? Because we only have one of each item. So we are raising funding to build the biggest fashion-first marketplace in Africa. And we are requesting 250K for a 12 to 18-month run rate. The funding is going to be split across building our platform, the tech development, sales, onboarding critical skills, as well as our running costs. I wish I could show you what we are building, because we actually have commenced the building already. But I can tell you the features that we having. So we're going to be providing real-time data to sellers, so analytical data. We're going to start doing recommendations, and all of this is to equip the sellers to have much more data-driven, to make much more data-driven decisions to be able to run their boutiques. We have an in-app wallet where every time they get paid, they can keep the wallet, the cash that they have, and they can even buy within app using their wallet. We also have an in-app buyer-seller chat, so the buyer and seller can communicate. And also what we don't have in our current platform, oh Lord, is a single user login, and you can become a seller and a buyer. We're looking at a go live of this month in July, and then we extending into live bidding, platform as a service, as well as additional geographies. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, that is pretty awesome. Like, I actually want to get on the site immediately. A few questions around, so I saw that the last part you talked about going live. Where are you now?
We are live.
You are live, so.
So we are live, so the platform is available. However, we're building new tech.
Oh.
So at the moment, all our tech, we own zero tech, everything is API'd. And now we are going live with our own tech and doing the things that we want to do, and we don't have to rely on
Okay, that's perfect, that's perfect. And then I also really like the multi-vendor, being able to check out
it's such a
things.
pain to...
Pretty awesome, yeah. That I just had the question on the live part.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Great job. I'm in the US, I'm like, maybe I should bring my entire closet and sell it on your platform. Where exactly is your product located? Is it just in South Africa, or it's
At the moment, we really want to master South Africa, especially from a logistics point of view. We really want to nail this market before we can start to take our lessons outside of South Africa.
Smart. And then my follow-up question to that, who are your competitors, and what's your unique value proposition?
Yeah. So at the moment, there is a bigger competitor. So in terms of positioning, I see it as a 3-tier positioning. There's the entry, mid, as well as luxury. And we are not in that luxury space as yet, purely for authentication purposes. And then there is the entry. We've got a big player who is in entry, and they call Diaga. And then we are more in the mid space. And what differentiates us from offering is obviously from a price point of view, our price positioning is a bit more mid-tier, and we're looking into the more aspirational. But with the technology that we are using, the video, nobody has got video at the moment. The multi-vendor checkouts, nobody has got that at the moment. And in terms of the customers that we are acquiring, we've got 2 different customers that we're looking at, we're targeting or positioning ourselves at. And there's multiple things that we're going to be doing to move away from being compared to any of our competitors, and just stand out on our own. Cool.
Thank you very much, and congratulations on what you've built. I felt so seen when you said I've given up trying to lose weight to fit in my clothing. Like I'm wearing a very baggy shirt for a reason today. You mentioned a question around logistics, and I guess the question is, what percentage of your costs would be logistic costs? Because I imagine someone's buying an item, let's say for a couple $100, that logistics cost could actually make the economics not so attractive for them. How are you navigating that today?
100%. So logistics is one of the biggest pain points. We pass the logistics to the shopper. And we've actually flattened, so it's a flat shipping fee. And it's not on there as yet, but one of the things, because I don't want to put too many features, but one of the things that we're trying to do is bring down that cost by bringing in multiple suppliers in terms of shipping, like Paxi, Pudo, and all of those.
Cool. Thank you very much. Big round of applause. And up next, oh, wrong direction. There we go. Cool. Tabby's Kitchen is up next.
No, I've got a mic.
Oh, you've got a mic.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much to AfricArena for this day. Well, the last 3 days, it's been spectacular being here in so much wealth of information and knowledge. It's been absolutely amazing. My name is Aideen. I'm the CEO and founder of Tabby's Kitchen. And you might be wondering why you need technology in the kitchen. Okay, so we run a cannabis farm. No, nobody's gonna get high. Nobody's gonna get high. So what we do is we infuse cannabis into tea and spices and chilies, and we are preparing on producing cannabis with all types of food, flour and sugar and everything else that comes with it. Excuse the nerves. So how did our story start? Our story started, you wake up sometimes and your life is different, okay? So I woke up one morning and my life changed. And I didn't want to get into cannabis. I had to get into cannabis. And my life changed when my son gave me a joint so that I could stop. My son gave me a joint so that I could stop having seizures one day. And that's how I found out that marijuana is going to make you better. And over a period of about 6 years, I had to get to know what cannabis is all about so that I could start a new life. And in starting a new life, I started a business. And when I started that business, I realized that that business is going to make a difference, not just for me, but for so many other people out there. So that's why we started a business. And I run that business with my son. So what we've done over the last few years is we have put together a factory. How about I just calm down first, right? Is that okay? Eh? And have a conversation as opposed to doing a pitch. Eh? Is that okay? Okay. So after doing that, I had to go and get a SASSA grant and start this business. And in that space of time, found out everything about cannabis, got a factory, got clients. We now have a full client base. We've changed our factory. We don't just have clients anymore. We have other people in the cannabis industry coming to us and asking us to make their products for them because we have regulation with SAPRA, and we are able to sell our products not just in South Africa, but internationally as well. That's how far we've come in the process. So we don't have to produce our products on the kitchen table like we used to, and then we moved into the garage, and now we have we have a factory now, and we've managed to get our first 3 million, and now we're ready to hit the next phase. We at expansion now, and we know that we can get all of our other products onto the market. So that's where we're at this stage. So we understand our benefits for our clients, we understand the benefits for our retailers. Our biggest social challenge is the fact that people don't understand the difference between marijuana and CBD. And everybody thinks the minute you mention CBD, they're gonna get high, okay? That's a challenge in South Africa, it's a challenge internationally. Everybody seems to struggle with that sort of identity. Does anybody here know the difference between CBD and THC? Hey? Yes? Okay, not everybody knows that. So that's our biggest challenge, is that people don't understand the difference between the two, okay? And that impacts sales a lot as well. So that's the challenge. But what's making it easier is that the bigger corporations is coming to us now to produce gummies for them, to produce food products for them, that kind of thing. And the benefit of that is because I'm a woman, because I'm black, because I'm disabled, it makes things easier for the market out there. Okay, we've covered that. Pretty much, like this happened. You don't know how strong you are until you land in a cup of tea, right? Okay. Anybody ever been through a bad time in life? Eh? Yeah, right. So that's why we're standing on the stage today looking for finance, pretty much, because we've hit a particular stage in our business. So that's why we're up here saying, look, guys, we need some extra resources. We need some extra finance. We need human capital. We need access to business. And there we go. Yay!
Well done. That was pretty awesome. So where do you sell these?
We are online. We are in a few stores. We're in discussions at the moment with Dischem, with Clicks. We've been approached by Mellow Store overseas. We've been approached by M Magazine Group Media in France. We've been approached by Soil to Seed in the US, as well as a company in Australia. So we've actually been approached by more international companies than we have by South African companies.
And then in terms of revenue right now, how is that going, and what is your cost of producing this?
So we've made 150,000 in revenue over the last 8 months. Our cost of goods covers that about, I would say, 70,000. And that's because we've spent a lot of our seeds on getting our factory set up and GMP and ISO certified. So in the initial stages, it makes it very difficult because we had to spend a lot of the funds setting that place up and getting it regulated. You know, the regulation for cannabis is exceptionally difficult in South Africa. And that's why we're getting a lot of business from other companies, because now we're not just focused B2C, we're focusing B2B. So that's what makes it easier.
Yeah, great job. I'm really happy you found a solution for your seizures, and now that you're scaling it across to other customers. You mentioned when you started that many don't know that tech should be in the kitchen. I'm curious to know, how does your company leverage tech?
Okay, so we need a specific sort of technology. It's called isolocity that we get from the US. So we need to measure like every gram of technology, every gram of cannabis that we use. Okay, and that needs to go through an entire inventory system that measures exactly how we use it. Are we using it in our tea? Are we using it in our spices? Are we going to use it for isolates? Are we going to use it? How are we actually going to apply that to the product that we are producing at that particular point?
Are you building the technology, or
No, it's available already. It's
Got
available
it.
already, as well as applications. So and there is laboratory technology that we need as well that's being developed, and those are the sort of resources that we need to bring into the kitchen.
Got it. There's a company called Fair Wholesale. If you're interested in scaling to other markets, it's very seamless. You should check it out. You might be able to get into some retailers internationally.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do you have any products here, samples?
Yes, yes. We do,
Great.
we do.
I'd love to have a cup of tea. And that brings us to the end of this round of pitches. Cool. Thank you very much to our jury. Can we give them a big round of applause? And up next are the investor pitches. So investors will get to pitch to you guys as the startups. But just a quick one. Unfortunately, this is where the journey ends for me here. I unfortunately have to rush to catch a flight to Cape Town. So I'm going to have to leave. As a result, we ran a little bit over time. But thank you so much, everybody. And my name is Oliver Dixon. Let's connect on LinkedIn if we haven't already exchanged contact details. I'd love to catch up with everybody. Also, book me. You guys saw me. Book me to MC your events and moderate your panel discussions. Hit me up and we can certainly do that. Thank you very much. Cheers.
We want to. There we go. So, ladies and gentlemen, can we just stand up for 1 second? Just stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up. We're almost at the end, almost at the end. Okay, can we lift our hands up? Just do a little bit of a stretch. Give a little bit of a big yawn. There we go. That's great. That's great. Okay, give yourself a round of applause. You made it through 2 days of AfricArena. How amazing is that? Okay, guys, you can sit down. Don't leave the room. Great things are going to happen now. So we're doing this thing called the investor pitches, which is a kind of a reverse of what the startups have been experiencing today. And also, it gives you an opportunity to learn a bit more about the cool investors who are really pushing and driving the ecosystem. So first of all, I would like to call onto the stage one of our incredible investors who are based in Cape Town. Kabelo, could you please come to the stage? And while you take the stage and climb up, I would love to make you sweat a little bit. We have 3 incredible jury members who we kind of keep as a mystery. As you can see, they're currently not there because they do not want to be known, but they just want to be known by their names. So first of all, Sophia, please come make your way to the front. Brendan, and then Kaletso. These are 3 of some of the incredible startups who pitched this. Can we give them a round of applause? Fantastic. 1, 2, and 3. Madame, whenever you are ready.
Is it on? Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Kabelo Temani. I'm currently an investment associate at Edge Growth. So I just want to give you guys a little bit of insights as to what Edge Growth does. Edge Growth is a leading SME development specialist in South Africa, and they aim to make a measurable impact by growing SMEs within the South African landscape. They do this by doing 3 core things, which is fund management. They do ESG solutions for major corporates, and they also do SME development programs. Edge Growth was founded in 2007 and to date has about $120 million in assets under management. 77 million of that has been deployed to date. We basically have invested in over 130 130 SMEs over the last 10 years within South Africa. Looking at our our early stage portfolio, we generally invest within the seed to Series B stages. So I just also wanted to add a side note that we are raising a $50 million venture debt fund. So if there are any investors of investors, that's something that we'd also want to look into. This venture debt fund would be focused on Africa focus, with the 3 geographical spaces being Egypt, South Africa, and Kenya, and the surrounding countries. And the venture debt would be for Series A to C as part of the things that we do. I just want to give a little bit more insight on our current mandate that we have. We really manage either ESD funding or corporate funding. Because we invest, our funders are ESD funders, some of the key things that we then look into are companies that can fit into the supply chain of the corporates that we that have invested in us. The 2 main ones are in industrials and also within the financial services sector. So if your business falls into something that could fall into the supply chain of oil and gas, manufacturing, FMCG, and mining and the likes, it's a key thing that we'd want to look at, and also within the financial services sector. Beyond that, we also invest in highly impactful SMEs, and that's a mandate that does not necessarily need to be supply chain linked. The key sectors of those would be the green economy, the financial inclusion space, companies that are SDG aligned, with a tech enablement portion to it. So to like edtech, health tech, agri-tech, and so on, and also companies that can provide strong job creation. Our general check size across the funds, so we manage 7 funds if I didn't say at the beginning, ranges between 2 million to 25 million, and we also leave space for follow-on investment. And with that, the type of instruments that we generally use are equity, or debt, or mezz, so we are across the spectrum depending on what the business needs at the time that we'd be investing in. Yeah, looking forward to engaging with like startups and seeing where we could assist you on your funding journey. Is it on?
I don't know. Oh, there we go. The role reversal is great, so it's really nice to be down here. I hope you're enjoying it up there.
No, I'm so stressed, but anyway.
No, you were fantastic. It's great to get like that overview. I'd love to know, because I think a lot of the startups in the room are pre-seed and seed. So I know you talked about an average ticket size, but when you're talking about seed, what is the ticket size? What are you looking for? What are the minimum requirements beyond the things you spoke about around supply chain development and SMEs and job creation? So just in that sector, not like the average across all of the portfolios or funds.
Yeah, so because there are a number of different funds who do different things, there are 2 funds that do look at specifically startups and like tech-enabled startups. So the general check size from that perspective would be from about 7.5 million to 15 million, and then we leave some space for follow-on investment, which would potentially push it to the 25 and above. Yeah.
Oh, hi. Thanks for the pitch. Yeah, it's really great to be here. I just wanted to understand, how many female-led businesses have you funded in the past, and what has been the impact of your fund? You mentioned you are funding SMMEs, but how do you measure the impact that you guys have actually done in the context of the South African market?
Okay, cool. So one of the key things that we look at when we're looking at the impact that we've created is the number of jobs that we've created from the companies that we've invested in. From a recent stat, I'm stand to be corrected, whether direct or indirect, it's actually been around greater than 9,000 jobs that have been affected. In terms of the female number of women who are within female-led companies or female-led startups, I'm not specifically sure about the actual number within the portfolio, but I can give you some great stories about some of the female founders I've worked with and currently are working with, where our initial funding has really taken their businesses over and beyond. And when we talk about that 10 times, it's over and beyond that, and the jobs that are then created with that. One of them actually being like a lithium battery manufacturer which is obviously very needed in our current power situation. But with that, I want to just say I've taken it upon myself, just given the fact that we don't have a lot of women who are funded, and I don't believe it's because they aren't women-led businesses. So I've taken it upon myself to actually, with the people I engage with and the businesses, not to be exclusionary to the men, but I've taken it upon myself to also find the female-led businesses and female founders to bring into the fold.
It's really good to be here in this chair, actually. My question will be, like you mentioned on your page, that you fund financial sectors, right? Which is the most trending sector currently, truth be told. So how many of those have you funded?
So it's not necessarily saying that we fund the financial sector. A lot of our, I'll touch base with you afterwards to complete that answer. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cabello. How did that feel?
Nerve-wracking.
It is not easy pitching, but I'm glad this experience is taking place. Next up, we have a man who's not as strange to the AfricArena stage. He runs faster than the Flash. He does marathons. I think he's doing like a super marathon in the next couple of weeks, getting ready. See the slow approach as he comes to take, hopefully this investor award for this evening. Kamo, are you ready?
Born ready. Hi everybody. So as Nathaniel said, my name is Kamo, and I'm a portfolio associate at Launch Africa Ventures. So for the unacquainted, Launch Africa is a leading Pan-African VC fund. We're one of the largest by portfolio size. So we've done about 130 investments across 20 plus African countries. So we also particularly the most active investor in Africa. And we're on a mission. So our mission is to build Africa's leading early stage venture capital fund. And we do that by investing in founders that have exceptional management teams that are solving problems at scale. And we typically look for the following things in the deals that we sort of screen. So one, we look for business models that are in either B2B or B2B2C. We look for founders who have graduated from world-class accelerators. So think Y Combinator, think Techstars, and in South Africa, Grindstones and the like. We also invest in founders who have their holdco in investor-friendly jurisdictions. So think Delaware, London, Netherlands. So whereas the holdco is in these investor-friendly jurisdictions, the subsidiary is operating in Africa, and the team has to be based in Africa as well. So a bit of our Fund 1 investments, as you can see in this lovely graph. Our investments are split across, or largely concentrated across the big four, which being Nigeria, South Africa, Kenya, and Egypt. And what we've built here is a category of opportunities that are value chain enhancing as well as return enhancing. So we really understand consolidation, we understand value chain, and we understand embedded finance. We also pride ourselves in being a frontier investor. And what I mean by that is that we've invested in jurisdictions that investors don't typically go. So we've made a recent investment in Sudan, in Morocco, Angola, and the like. Cool. So as far as the team goes, we have a 13-person team with 2 GPs, 5 analysts, and 4 board members, and 5 investment committee members. Our GPs have incredible experience having managed 4 African funds across them. Our Fund 1 is a $36.3 million fund, and we've deployed pretty much all of the capital and are raising our second fund now, which is Launch Africa Fund 2, which is also an early stage fund that we aim to be double the size of Fund 1. Whereas in Fund 1, where our minimum check size was $100,000 and our max was $300,000, in Fund 2, our check size will start at $1 million. And that's just because, as we've seen, seed rounds have gotten bigger and bigger, and the allocation that $300,000 gives you isn't as large as what it used to be 3-4 years ago. Cool. So now our value add to the founders, right? So we've been able to hook some of our guys up with AWS and Azure credits. We regularly run office hours. So this morning I was just on a financial reporting office hour, helping some of our founders calculate things like CAC, LTV, that sort of thing. Where even though we only invest $300,000, we've on occasion, I think 40% of our investments have had LPs co-invest alongside with us, so that increases the check size that we are able to offer to founders. We also have a broad community, right? So if you can imagine, 20 plus countries. So if you're thinking of scaling from this country to the next and having network with founders that are already within that geography, you're able to kind of like cross-share knowledge and things of that nature. And I think core to our investment philosophy is really investing with empathy, right? Because we know that we're investing in people first and foremost. So we encourage our founders to come with us with the good, the bad, the ugly. We're there in the trenches with you, fighting it out. And we also have a partnership with one of our portfolio companies called Ollie Health that have a marketplace where they have online therapists. And we've given our founders like credits to Ollie Health, and they can have like 1 or 2 like free sessions, just to talk things through. And if you're a femtech, if you have a woman founder in one of your teams, we also have a sister fund in 535 Ventures, and they also do co-investments alongside us. Yep, thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for the presentation. I think also, perhaps speaking on behalf of the seed and pre-seed companies in the room, some of us, I think most of us, after watching the pitch, don't necessarily fit into being, Y Combinator tech stars. Some of us may be considering moving our headquarters after the chat this morning, but maybe we're all based in Africa at the moment. How do you build out your pipeline, and what kind of relationships? So for the folks in the room, like, how can we start connecting with you, even if we don't meet your criteria right now? And what are you looking for, and how do you build that relationship? So how can we start that journey together?
Yeah, so my email is kamo@launchafrica.vc. Send me a mail. That's, the quickest one. But as far as pipeline goes, so in those criteria, it's not necessarily prescriptive, right? So there are occasions where, okay, you haven't come from an accelerator, or your whole core isn't based in investment. We'll walk you through that journey, right? As long as the tech and the problem you're solving is big enough and we believe that it's venture backable, we'll invest, right? That's pretty
Perfect.
much
I'm glad you shared that caveat. I think that excited people in the room. Thank you.
Cool.
Thanks for the presentation. I just want to understand, how do you support the businesses that you fund access new markets, or if they've got new products that they want to try out, or what support do you give them when they go into new markets?
Yeah, man. So new market, everything's about relationship, right? And because our portfolio is amplified, we have so many people in so many different either geographies, as well as like a broad range of advisors that are able to give, open doors rather to distribution network that they wouldn't otherwise have had in the different geographies. So yeah, to summarize, it's just the advisors and just like the networks and intros that we have across the team as well. Cool. Are you good? No questions? Okay, cool. Thanks everyone.
Thank you so much, Kamo. Next up, we have the last investor who will be pitching. We had someone drop out because they got really ill. So please be aware, she jumped in at the last minute, probably found out 2 hours ago that she's going to be doing this pitch. Please be kind, be very kind. So we have Karen from Catalyst Fund. She's one of the most amazing, energetical people I've met at this event so far. Could you please give her a round of applause just for that?
Hi everyone. I didn't realize we could have a deck. I think Launch Africa have a bit of an edge. I don't know. Did you get some some insider knowledge? All right. My name is Karen Waidaka. I am from the Catalyst Fund. I am investment principal for Africa, based here in Joburg. So we are trying to solve for two different problems. One is the fact that in as much as Africa does not contribute much to greenhouse gas emissions, we contribute less than 4% of emissions. We suffer the most from the negative effects from climate change. At the same time, there is a huge funding gap on climate-based investments coming into Africa. And on the positive side, there's a growth in digital inclusion. So we're seeing increased network coverage across Africa. I think we're now at about 70%. We're seeing lower cost of smartphones and usage on that end. So we're seeing an opportunity where we're able to use technology to solve for some of these climate-related challenges. So Catalyst Fund is a very early stage pre-seed high-impact investor. We invest in climate tech companies in Africa that are improving the livelihoods of the climate vulnerable communities. So improving resilience, building adaptation to climate change in various ways. These ways include essential services, so things like water, energy, waste management, financial services like insurance, data-driven solutions, carbon capture, carbon credits, looking at livelihoods, so things in ag tech, aqua space, and e-mobility and other smart living solutions. So how have we been doing this so far? Prior to last year, we used to offer grants to startups, and then together with our accelerator program, we would then accelerate these early stage companies through a 4 to 6 month program using our experts, our in-house experts. As of last year, we then decided, okay, we've been doing this for the last 5-6 years. We incubated about 61 companies. Some of those that you may know are Chipa, is one of those that we incubated. Turaco, Smile Identity, Wasoko, Quara, and 61 others across Africa. So as of last year, we set up our own fund to be able to invest more than grant funding so that we can extend that relationship beyond the 4 to 6 month venture building program that we offer. So Catalyst Fund 3.0 is a VC fund that is supporting this climate tech in entrepreneurs in Africa. And we do this in funding. So we provide $100,000 in funding to these companies. And then we also do this in venture building support. We have a team of experts that sit across Africa. A big chunk of the team is in Nairobi. And what they do is basically provide support in understanding your tech needs for the company, understanding the product design of the business that very early on, understanding what your route to market is going to be, understanding how you can brand yourself to present yourself better to the market, helping you with financial modeling, budgeting, cash flows, and things that very early stage entrepreneurs need at that particular stage. We also support through our circle of investors. We provide co-investment support. We do the introductions to investors. We help you set up your data room, help you set up your pitch deck, do mock pitches with you as well. And this is done over a 4 to 6 month period. Companies are very different, so it's not a standardized solution. It's a very bespoke solution that our venture builders provide. So they'll come into your company, be part of the business, go through that business with you. We'll have weekly touch points. Some will be in person. At the point where it's in person, we come to you. You don't have to take the cost of coming to us. And then we support you through that full process. Once you're done with the venture building support, at that particular point, us on the investment team now take over and continue that sort of level of support in your subsequent rounds. So we start off with $100,000 in funding. However, we then support through your seed round and your Series A up to $1 million. And then onward to that, support through that co-investor network as well. So we are based in Nairobi. I am based here in Joburg. We have a team of 4 in the investment team. We have a team of 10 in the venture building team. And these, as I mentioned, are tech experts, marketing experts, web design, UI, UX experts, product design experts as well. So what we are trying to do is just fill that very early funding need that companies have, and then using that support that we're able to come in as well, use our expertise to ensure that we de-risk the business to larger investors as well. So we are raising a fund. We have an anchor investor who has made it possible for us to continue deploying funding. We are raising a $40 million fund. We are looking to close that this year. And yeah, that's us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's nice to know we're all raising. It's not just us on this side. So thanks for that. So climate tech is, we've had a lot of issues with the tech industry in the last 12 months. We've seen horrible cuts in staff and everything. Climate tech is the only industry that is continuing to grow despite all of this. I know you said the few sectors that that you guys are excited about, but I'd love to hear what trends Catalyst as a fund is most excited about. So what are the things, I think there's been amazing agri-tech and climate tech pitches over the last few days. So what are the things maybe you particularly, you as a fund, are most excited about? And what do you think Catalyst Fund is uniquely positioned to help with, like which trends? Because there are amazing climate tech funders out there.
Thank you. I think, first of all, in terms of the number of climate tech investors out there are quite a number who can follow on after we've come in. So at the stage where we come in, there's very few that are specifically focusing on climate tech. In terms of areas we're excited about, given we're in Africa, ag tech is of course something that we see a lot of. They're very interesting solutions using AI, using index-based insurance to target farmers at their point of need. We're looking at a lot of cold chain solutions as well. EV mobility is becoming very big at the moment, and using that in different capacities. We are very interested in interesting ways to solve for the water crisis, for example. There are very few companies currently that are doing that. The one area that we're seeing a lot of us still learning about as well is in the carbon marketplace. So understanding that value chain from the feasibility study that is being done, right to the end where there's verification and there's actual buying and selling within that marketplace, is one that we're seeing a lot of. So if someone can crack, not the full value chain, because it's a huge chain, and everyone says we're doing everything, and I'm like, no, you have to pick which one of those in that value chain that you need to be able to focus on. So those are the ones that we're excited about.
So before you could ask his question, I just wanted to comment that I think you are the holy grail of SMEs. I think you are what we need, given what you've said. So well done, and keep on going.
Thank you.
Working for me. Hello. Okay, perfect. Thanks for the pitch, Karen. I think this is very useful information, and I think startups need this, especially because you also offer grant funding before they could be ready for further investments. And I was quite interested in the venture building sort of activities that you do for startups to help them strengthen their business case. But I wanted to find out, how do you create opportunities for startups or create a pipeline for startups from rural areas and townships that might have climate tech that is innovative, but don't necessarily have resources or access to opportunities? Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. Just a clarification, we do not do the grant funding anymore. That was our previous model. Now we do we're now proper equity investors. So in terms of how we reach, we have an open call on our website, so you're able to apply through our website. Events like this, where we get to meet other entrepreneurs as well, are able to introduce us to companies like those that we cannot reach. And there's some which are not necessarily in this rooms, but then if you speak to a few entrepreneurs, you get to hear a lot about what other people are doing in different countries. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, thank you. So another round of applause for investors pitching. It is 5:15. We are in the final sequence of the event, the much awaited award ceremony. So for the last 2 days, you've seen these startups from all over the continent battle it out. So for reminders, we had 3 key sectors: the deep tech, the enterprise, and the climate tech sector. And then we had a bunch of startups from C to Series A pitching for you. We had about 25 startups pitching, and it was really great to see the diversity and the energy of these founders. And I think they got to meet a lot of investors and connect to opportunity during the last 2 days. So, this was really exciting. So we're now going to proceed with the announcement of the winners. But before we do that, I just want to say a few words to, of course, thanks our partners for supporting the event. I don't go through the whole list. They're on the banners out there. You can take a picture before you check out. But this would not be possible without their support, and we are really privileged to have an increasing number of key partners helping us on a circuit, and that's what helps us put together these events. So thank you to our partners. I also would like to thank the team. AfricArena is a small team, Cape Town based. Everybody's here. I'd like to thank the technical team that is at the back there, Mark, and the team managing the technical aspects. Not easy to manage all these mics and different people speaking on different mics, avoiding the Larsen. So thank you to them. But to the AfricArena team, so the man behind all the logistics for the event, Dan. Make some noise for Dan. You know, so he's the guy pre-producing the event, producing the event, and then recovering from the very difficult logistical challenge that we represent, and helping us putting the wonderful parties that we had for the last 2 nights, which were a great success here in Johannesburg. Next, we have Ropa. Ropa is part of the secret sauce of AfricArena because she's the one who is managing our investors relation and helping connecting founders with a market access opportunity. So connecting a founder with an investor during, before, after the event so that it turns into a deal. And we've had many deals over the last few months thanks to our hard work. So Ropa, thank you very much for all your hard work and your contribution to the event. And then, of course, in terms of finding the best startups, we have about 1,000 startups applying to the program every year. So we have to go through these applications, we have to interview the startups, we have to get them to pre-pitch and select them, and that's an amazing team. So we have an intern in the team who joined us from Nairobi, but she's originally French, Noah, with a smile and a graceful presence in the team, and she's been supporting the entire program. So thank you, Noah, for your support. And the head of our ecosystem efforts, startup sourcing, engagement with partners, Nathaniel, who is also now becoming a part-time MC. Where is Nathaniel? Oh, he's there. So Nathaniel, who now has a special hat. So Tia is now launching a fashion. Yeah, so Nathaniel is the model on top of everything else. So thank you, Nathaniel. You want to say a few words about the event?
Just want to say, without Tia, without Edge Growth, without Savant and all of our partners, we could really not accomplish this or do this. And also without every single participant here, you guys are amazing. If you just look at everybody around you, these are the individuals and the people who are building this ecosystem. And honestly, if you guys didn't exist, we would definitely not exist.
Absolutely. Thank you. So, applauses for you. So, we're now announcing the winners. Where's the music and the fireworks? Come on, Mark, give us some energy. So, the first winner for the Deep Tech Challenge is...
Oh goodness, where's my glasses? It is AI Diagnostics?
Woo! Are they in the room? I'm not sure. No one from AI Diagnostics, so shall we give the award to the next one? No, I'm joking. Is there someone that can receive the award for the Deep Tech? Is there someone from... Who is there? Someone in their cap table? No? Okay, well, we'll keep it in store for them. Okay, so the second category is enterprise. That's when we run out of time, right? People have to catch a flight and they are not here for their awards. The enterprise segment is won by
Tumelo.
Tumelo.
Guys, she's still walking.
It's this way. Would you like, no, where are you going? You have to say a few words. You have to pitch all over again. How do you feel getting this award for the startup?
Thank you so much. This is so overwhelming. I don't know where Zamubuhle is. I should probably get a taxi to fetch him. Everything's been so great. I really believe in everything that he's doing, and thank you for recognizing this, and we can't wait to get so big in the world, and thank you. Mpomodise, by the way. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Okay, and our next category was the Climate Tech category. So for the Climate Tech Award, the winner is...
Igugu.
And I forgot to thank all our volunteers who are helping us since the boot camp. You know, they are the force also behind AfricArena. And thank you, all our volunteers. There we go.
It's fine because we're from the same group, so I don't mind taking a picture with him. Thank you so much, AfricArena. Thank you, everybody. As the Kuku Clean Tech, this means a lot to us. And well done to every startup here. Let's keep pushing and keep rising. Thanks.
Thank you very much. And now, for the seed category, the winner of the seed category is
BioAge.
BioAge, who is also had to fly back to Cape Town, I think. So he's got I think his incubation partner is going to receive the award on behalf of BioAge. The award, please. So Thomas, you want to say a few words for BioAge?
Yeah, unfortunately he wasn't here, and I just, he says, thank you for, he's accepted. He just, I messaged him now, so he's accepted. He just wants to say thank you for AfricArena and ASAP Labs. Yeah. Cool.
Thank you very much, Thomas. One of the startup that pitched at this event 2 years ago actually came to be at this event. They flew all the way from Vietnam, and he was telling us how this award actually changed the course of their business, and it was quite interesting to understand how a seed award at AfricArena actually turned their business in a completely different trajectory. So these awards actually mean something to these startups, and this is great to hear. So now the next award goes to the Scale startup,
and the winner is Mechanic.
Mechanic. Are they in the room? We're just gonna give all these awards to AWS, and they're just gonna give it to them with crazy. Huh? Now let me remind you that all the startups that attended this program, all of them that pitch, are getting $10,000 in AWS credit from AWS. So thank you, AWS, for that. They'll be getting their awards from tomorrow. And those that receive an award now are qualifying for a Cape Town event for the grand finale, and they're going to be getting $25,000 in AWS credit. So that's great. So that's part of the benefit to the winners. It's not just a nice award. So now we have the much awaited Investor Award. Or maybe before that, I just want to announce that because we've just